we will go deep into the realm of the unknown and question everything as we search for the truth. We will explore the possibility of countless phenomena within the ultra-spectrum, and together we will learn that it is all connected. This podcast is brought to you by the Experiencer Support Association, and it is a live stream broadcast. If you have a question, send me a super chat or become a YouTube member. This podcast is brought to you by the Experiencer Support Association. Take a seat, relax, get ready, and welcome to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. Today is Thursday, November 24th, 2022, and I, Ryan Stacy, am your host this evening. I'm a licensed private investigator, citizen journalist, and the Director of Investigations for the Experiencer Support Association. Welcome to the channel, and thank you for joining us this evening. A special thank you to all our YouTube members who help keep this program and others free for our experiencers. Remember that as a member, you get to ask your questions live here tonight, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions, so make sure you are a member. If not, I'll ask them all for you. For all you non-members, you can super chat, send a tip on Rockfin, or ask questions to our guests live. Every little bit helps, okay, for super chat. At the 2-hour mark, actually it might be at the 90-minute mark, CC and I will have our after chat, so stick around and we will keep the conversation going. Chat with everybody that's live in the chat. We'll discuss the topics and all that other stuff and go from there. So tonight we are diving into the flat Earth theory, and we're going to try to get answers for the big questions. Our guest for season 4, episode 36, our semi-finale for season 4, is David Weiss. David is a businessman who walked away from his own very successful company to pursue spreading the truth about our world. He's the host of the Flat Earth podcast and creator of the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. He has a knack for communicating the idea of flat Earth with sincerity and humor. He knows this can be a lot to take in, and I'm still working on that one. Once you go flat, you don't go back. With his lightheartedness and deep understanding and intellectual respect, he can offer eye-popping information that leads to mind-blowing understanding. Now, we don't live on a spinning, wobbling, rocketing water ball in infinite vacuum. No, despite what we have been taught our whole lives in this round Earth theory. And I'm just quoting his bio here. David Weiss may be the most agreeable guy you'll ever disagree with. Open your mind and allow him to share with you why the Earth is flat and what you think you know about the planet Earth you call home is just plain wrong. Make no mistake, he can have fun, but he will also show you why this topic is the most important topic of our unusual times and why we must continue in this relentless quest for the truth. It goes without saying that he will be the most fun, most exhilarating, and mind-altering presentation you'll ever see, and from the most likable of guys presenting it. He has been a repeated guest on many channels such as Alchemy Radio, Talk is Jericho, Alex Jones, Infowars, and SGT Report, and many others. And links to all his things are in the description. So, David, put on your tinfoil hat. We're about to go down the rabbit hole of rabbit holes. How are you doing?
I am doing good. Is that your normal opening, or is that a special opening for this episode?
That's my normal opening. That's why I said just
so
wait.
You can't even see the light at the top of the rabbit hole. You are deep in the rabbit hole.
So that's Tartarian stuff and all that. But yeah. So we might get into that.
Yeah.
Okay. So our icebreaker question from CC is: through your research, what has been the toughest pill to swallow when searching for the truth? Good question, CC.
The toughest pill to swallow is, how can everything be a lie? You know, people. The hardest question I used to get asked was, "Well, what's real? Tell me something big that's happened that's real." And I had a really hard time. I used to say, Sully landed the plane on the Hudson River in the middle of the winter, and that's not true. That was also a scam. So the hardest thing, it's relationships, long time friends, family members that aren't awake, that aren't ready to wake up. So that would be the toughest thing. I don't haven't spoken to my brother and sister since 2020. It's because we really have nothing to discuss as far as reality, and I don't feel like fighting. So that's the toughest part.
So I don't know what the toughest part is for me, but it just made me think. I have an uncle in the family that very, very heavily believes in this theory. And when he first told me it, I thought he was crazy. It caused fight at Christmas, all these other things, and he, full blown into it. And after I've started to research it to understand how some of that stuff might be connected to all the things that are going on in the world of what's called circumstantial evidence, there seems to be a lot of circumstantial things that make sense, although cannot be proven because I am not able to go to space. So I am definitely on the fence, but my legs are in the flat Earth side. So that's where I'm at for that. But I could still hop back over the fence at any time. But I don't.
No, you can't.
I don't really want to.
Well, no, it's not about wanting to. It's once you start seeing the lie and you start breaking through the programming, then there's no way out, because the more you look for a way out, the more things you find that lead you in farther and farther. Nobody leaves flat Earth. Nobody. I mean, it sounds like a cult, but that's not it. It's the truth. Yeah. And once you see the truth, it's like people go to a magician and like, oh my God, that's so amazing, so amazing. But then one day the magician shows you how he does everything. So now you go and you're just here like this going, all right, I see it, and you can't unsee it. Once you know how the trick is done, once you know the lie, once you see the deception, there's no turning back. So saying I want this, I want that, I want it to be flat, I want it to be round, I just want the truth. And I think that's what you really, really are saying. But once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah. And for me, it's always been, like in order for it to happen, like a lot of people got to be in on it. And for that to be true, it will damage a lot of thoughts, and a lot of things will be destroyed out of it. So there's a lot of pain that kind of goes with it. But then at the same time, it's like what shaped the Earth to me really doesn't matter. What matters to me that is if they lied, then
why the lie, how it affects you, everything. And we'll get into all that. But when you say a lot of people have to be in on it, actually that's not true. The vast majority of the people that defend the ball have no idea what ball, just indoctrinated to a point, and mentally, spiritually, they're locked into holding on to this ball thing. I have to say hats off to the globalists that created this system, because they did such a good job indoctrinating people to the point where they'll fight it. If you don't believe me, go to a 10 or 11-year-old kid that's like the perfect age and say, hey, want to know a secret? The Earth is flat. He'll chop your head off. He'll throw so much propaganda at you. It's unbelievable. And that's just at this young age where they've really indoctrinated them all the way through school. All of schooling is to make you think that you're insignificant, make you think that, you're flying through an infinite space. You're an infinite speck, and you're a plague to the planet, right? All of this stuff, it's all to make you live in fear, limit your thoughts, and stop you from nearly reaching your full potential. I mean, if people reached a fraction of their potential, this world would be an amazing place. But right now, people are trapped in the Matrix, and the Matrix is the globe. And the globe is a prison for your mind.
And well, it's definitely possible. I mean, I can't say for sure, but you've done a lot of research, obviously, and you're confident why you're here. One thing that that irritates me, though, and I guess maybe I am more flat Earth than I realize, but when the insults come in and when they make fun of the movement, a lot of people think that literally means a flat disc that's floating around in space, and they use those images to kind of mock the idea. So what exactly is something like that? Is that what it really could look like? Are there other planets? How's this work?
This is what they want you to. This is what they want you to think flat Earth is. Flat Earth is nothing like this. Because if you think about this, This makes no sense. All of the videos are like, if you walk to the edge of a flat Earth, you'd have to lean over because it'd be pulling you towards the center. None of that's true. No flat earther thinks this. Only people that are indoctrinated into the globe think this is what flat Earth is. There is a little bit of truth in here, because what is behind the shoreline is outer space. We'll get into that in a minute, but not this outer space. Okay? There is no outer space like that, but the outer space.
Mm-hmm. And I understand too, and I caught on to that with the wording, right? Because it's outside the dome, or is it outside of?
Well, it's beyond the shoreline, right? So if the world is set up like this, right? Here's our shoreline. That what some know as the ice wall. It's the shoreline of our pond, right? Our world pond, is being contained by land that's higher than the surface, right? A pond is a pond, a puddle, a lake, is a body of water that is surrounded by land that is consistently higher than the surface of the water. It's a container. Large bodies of water at rest need lateral pressure, and without it, the water will just flow elsewhere. They tell us Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. This is Antarctica. Okay? They tell you this is the South Pole, but you go from here, or you go all the way out here, thousands of miles, and we're at the South Pole. But nobody keeps going this way and pops up over in Australia. Right. From base, don't go here and meet people that were at this base over here. Right? They don't go, oh, we'll meet you over Edmonton Scott Station, whatever. Right? But this is where they tell us the station is, right here. Okay? And they want you to think this is a continent over here. But in reality, it's just like this. And what's out here in the outer space? We can get into that.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll let you lead the way. If I got questions, I'll ask.
Well, people say, well, what about navigation, right? This is a map of the world. It was used for war planning. It was it's still used for navigation today for flights and everything. And you've seen the Gleason's map, I'm sure. This was in all classrooms, in all libraries, everywhere until the 1950s, and then all of a sudden it was pulled. Why is it pulled? What's going on with that? What are they hiding? Right? This is the best map of the world that we have. And when I show you my app in a little while, I can prove that the sun does circle around it some way. Now, some people have crazy ideas. Well, it's really going this, and sure, whatever. But wherever the sun is, when the sun is directly above you, anywhere on Earth, it's noon. And I can prove that if it moves through each one of these time zones, time is correct, and the sun's actually in position. So we'll get into that in a little bit. So this is our shoreline, right? This pink line is 60 degrees south, which is still like 1,000 miles or more from Antarctica, right? No one's allowed to independently explore beyond this line. Why is that? In this world right now, we're having, we're fighting for resources. We're fighting for, fuel and everything. And they say that Antarctica is barren. There's no people there. There's no animals there. There's no vegetation there. There's just raw resources. And then they go, oh, no one can go there. Antarctic Treaty. We're going to the moon, a place that you can't verify anything. We're just going to send Freemasons up there. But nobody can go here. And if you cross that line, you're intercepted by a warship, by a fighter jet. You're turned around. You could be sunk, put in jail. Nobody can independently explore Antarctica. Well, wait a minute. I can go to Antarctica. There's road there. You can take a trip there. The trips are $20, $30, $40, $50,000. If you're lucky, you can get a $15,000 for 3 days. They literally take you to right here. They show you some penguins. They show you some ice. Now look at this. This is bigger than some countries. It's not just a little tiny place. So, what is that? So what does that prove that you went there? Nothing. It proves nothing.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was something that Mark Sargent was talking about when we had him on here, about how just when you get there, it's so big enough that you can't even tell. So you can't even go
tell anywhere. Right.
Yeah.
We don't know what's out here, right? The distances are massive, right? And so this is guarded, right? So there's 7 or 8 islands that are equally spaced. One off of here. There's the Falkland Islands, which I believe where are the Falkland Islands over here? And there's these islands, and they all have military bases on it. And you cross that line, you are intercepted, and it's been done. People have been jailed. One guy, I forget his name, he got permission from his country to go. He got there. They stopped him. They turned him around. They sent him home, and they put him in jail. Right? This is the Dallas airport. What do you say? This is the TSA at the Dallas airport.
So yeah, that would look like a polar projection, I'll say.
This is a flat Earth map.
Mm-hmm.
And what are they guarding?
The wall.
They're guarding the outer lands. It's symbology. Okay?
Yeah.
Why would they set it up like that? Why would they set it up like that, right? Yeah. Have you seen this map? This was found 10 centuries. Yeah. It was a 10th century old map.
Something outside of the wall.
So check this out. So our sun spins around in here, melts us out. So let's say everything out this far is frozen. So this is all just frozen because the sun is just frozen. So all of these land masses are frozen in the ice. Let's say this one is partially half uncovered, right? Half of it sticks out, and you can actually take a boat to here. What if they were just taking people to here? And they go, you're on Antarctica, right? Now it's all frozen. So this is, if you tried to go around it, you can't. So you try to go around it, you'd have to keep going this way. You'd have to keep going this way, following the shoreline, right? Last person to do this was Captain Cook, but we went 65,000 or 68,000 miles, something like that. When he should have been around like 10, 12,000 miles. Okay. But if you pulled up to here, this is bigger than the United States and Canada combined. Okay. So this is a little island. This is a massive continent, right? So if you pulled up there and they're like, this is Antarctica, right? And maybe over here, this is Antarctica, the base that's off of Australia. Okay? Nowhere near each other. Right? You with me?
Yep, I'm with you.
Here's something that happened recently. We're looking at, you can go to ship tracking. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. Hold on. Ship tracking sites. Wait, where'd it go? Oh, here we go. So this is where you can track cargo ships, right? Okay. And you can click on them. It'll pull up the information and give you all information about the ship, where it's going, where it's coming from, captain's names. It's everything. It tells you everything about it. Well, this is Antarctica. Okay. We also found ships in here. This is a ship right here. This ship is 300, 400, 500 miles inside of where it's supposed to be land or frozen. And there's other ships going up and down in here. Where are they going?
What type of ship is going? Military?
No, cargo ship. This ship was almost 500 feet long or 500 meters. 500 meters would be huge. I think it was 480 meters. Giant ship. I got to know. So a giant cargo ship. Where's it going? Maybe it's going out here to other lands, right? Maybe it's not frozen out here. Maybe that's why they're worried about global warming, because it opens up these shipping routes, right? Yeah. So where did that ship come from, right? So we look it up and we found out it's from a little island called Kiribati, okay? Out in the middle of nowhere, right? You wouldn't even find this thing. That's a tack you're seeing. You don't even see the island yet. We zoom in, and here it is, the island of Kiribati, right? So what's going on out there? What's going on out there in Kiribati? There's the Chinese government very involved out there. I believe our government's involved out there. Like, what are these people about? What's going on here? You've never even heard of this, right? Maybe there's trade routes going on right now that we would never know. We would never know if there's ships, information, technology, people. We don't know what's going on. But coming from this little island in the middle of nowhere, look where it is, right? Kiribati is is right, not there. That's my mouse. It's right here in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Here it is.
If you didn't put that pin in, you wouldn't find it. So with something so small and hidden in plain sight, why put it on there at all?
Yeah. So you could I encourage people, go look the island up, zoom in. You can see, there's a whole civilization there. There's some towns. There's 3 little villages. One of them's called London. One of them's called Paris. Right? Weird. I don't know. Just saying. Right? And so what they did is, instead of letting us know there's an extended plane, they took our plane and wrapped it onto a ball. Okay?
Yeah.
They wrapped it. So that's our world. We're trapped, right? Instead of letting us know that we're out here, right? They took the edge of our shoreline, they cut it out, and they wrapped it around a ball. That's the prison for your mind.
Yeah.
How about that?
That was a good visualization. I like that.
Yeah.
Because you got the equator, you got your Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn, and then that's the thing. It's just like you either believe it rotates in a globe, but the same thing. So I'm sure you'll show this with your app, because you can measure time with the sun and the moon as well, as if it was flat, and some of those things do line up with what we're told. So there's what we're told. There's what we know, and there's what we see. So the problem that I have with this thing, which makes it so challenging for me, is when I became aware of the possibility and I was open up to the things that I see and all these other circumstantial things. It's like I just stopped believing certain things about all these other things and start getting this paranoia where I'm thinking that they're lying, and then they have lied. But are they lying about everything, or are they just lying about this one thing?
Yep. They're lying about everything, because it's all about not letting you know who you are, the true power that you have, not letting you know that you're divine, not letting you know that you have amazing abilities, and making you believe that other people can tell you what your rights are, when in fact they're God-given, they're divine rights. Right? This is the equator. So think about, on a ball, it's the biggest circle, 24,901 miles around. Okay? This is the Tropic of Cancer. This is the Tropic of Capricorn. They are less than 24,000 miles around, because they're getting smaller. They're getting to the smaller part of the ball. This is Antarctica. Circling around Antarctica is only 11 or 12 or 13,000 miles. Let's say 13. Give the globe the benefit of the doubt. 13,000 miles. So circumnavigating Antarctica should be about 13,000 miles. But Captain Cook did it, and he went 68 miles. 25,000 miles, 68,000 miles. Is the world set up like this? Or is it set up like that?
So
right? Here it is. Here's the Tropic of Capricorn. And if you go all the way around, 68,000 miles, it makes sense.
Yeah, I also noticed that on this map that you have what appears to be a continent in the center of the North Pole. That's not empty like the Google Earth map shows.
We don't know what's here, right? Right. Yeah. So this is actually showing ice, but now they have it just as water. You look at the old maps. There's old maps that show, 4 continents with 4 rivers in there. We don't know. North Pole's also another place that's off limits.
Mm-hmm. So you get into Hyperborea and Magnetic Mountain and all that stuff.
Here's the thing. I love talking about all these possibilities, all of these things, all of these signs, all of these clues, but we don't need them to prove the Earth is not a spinning ball. I mean, our God-given common senses can show us that. We can physically go out and measure it. We can use their math. You say, well, it's 8 inches per mile squared, and the Globers will go, no, it's not. That's not a real formula. That's a parabola, right? Right? Yeah, it actually works perfectly, because it's based on the Pythagorean theorem: a squared plus b squared equals c squared with a right angle. Okay, and I can show you how it is dead accurate for hundreds of miles, over 1,000 miles, but nobody can see 1,000 miles. We don't really need it. I mean, perspective brings everything to the point. The atmosphere becomes opaque even with infrared lenses, and you can't see 1,000 miles. So who cares if the formula gets out of whack when you start inverting underneath the ball, right? So our not ours, their calculator, their curvature calculator is dead on, and it's so far off. Do I have that? Do I have that clip? I don't know. There's a clip that I wanted to bring up. I'll get into that later when we get into curvature. I had an idea. Anything else?
No, I'm just asking questions based off what I see and what I hear. I'm good. I'm following your pace.
Right. So when I say flat Earth, the Earth isn't flat. It has hills and valleys. It's as a topographical plane, right? It's the deepest hole ever dug is just under 8 miles. So yeah, we know there's a hole 8 miles deep or less than 8 miles, and we have Mount Everest, right? So yeah, there's ups and downs, but water tells us what's going on. The science is a large body of water at rest, anything bigger than a gallon, will lay flat when at rest. Period. People go, what about the sunset, right? What about the sunset? Well, this is the sun just going away, right? It's not because I'm spinning, falling over faster than the speed of sound backwards, right? I'm looking at the sun just going away, just like I'm looking at these streetlights going away, right? Same exact thing. When you stand under one of those lights, that's your noon sun. This is your morning sun or evening sun, depending on which way it's going. Noon sun right here. And this is the evening, and it just goes away in a straight line. Actually, depending on where you are in the north, you'll see it curving as it goes around because it's circling around you, right? You've seen my flat Earth kitchen, I assume, but this line is level. This is a level line. It's this line. This line is being filmed from an elevated position, from a celestial position, right? And it's level. Right. This line is being filmed, the same line being filmed from a terrestrial position on the ground, and it looks like it's going down. It's exactly what we see with the sun. Here's an actual sunset. It's going down. And what's it going behind? It's going behind the atmospheric deck of opacity. That could actually be a mountain range in the distance that you just can't see because there's no light. The light that's bouncing off of it can't get to your eyes. So it just becomes sky. Okay? With me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right. And people, and it depends on the conditions. This is one where the sun was going down, 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 and it stopped. Now I'm filming this from a high position, and it stopped going down. It should continually move, but it stopped and it faded out. Now my friends are down here at the beach. They saw the sun set 10 minutes earlier. It's already nighttime. I'm still looking at the sun. Okay, this is going forward and backwards, and it went away, and it took its light with it. Right? And this was filmed by a soldier in Afghanistan. Super dry, super clear day. The sun is not going down. It's clearly moving away. It gets lower and lower and lower, and then it just kind of stops on the horizon as it goes away. As Paul McCartney says, the fool on the hill sees the sun going down, but the eyes in his head see the world spinning round.
I remember seeing a time-lapse video or picture of this of that as well, but I think it was in Antarctica or closer to Antarctica. So you actually didn't see it go. It went down and then it went back up. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, it goes around you. It circles around you.
Yeah, so it was going. Yeah, and I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. It circles around you. So let me jump backwards here. So so here's my app. Let's go a little bigger. Right? So the sun circles around. So if I'm inside, can I reach up here? I can. If I'm inside that inner circle, which is the Tropic of Cancer, let me just slow it down because it's a little crazy. Right? What is the sun doing? If I'm anywhere inside of the inner circle, right? Tropic of Cancer. So America, North America, England, all of the northern countries. What is the sun doing? Well, wait, let me back up. Anybody inside, we'll call that inner circle the Arctic region. We'll call anybody outside of the Tropic of Capricorn, everybody outside here, the Antarctic region, and everybody in between two tropic lines, we'll call them the tropics. Makes sense. That's where it's nice and warm, in between the tropics. So if you're inside the Arctic area, what is the sun doing? What is the sun doing? What do you see the sun doing? You see it circling around you. It's arcing around you. The Arctic, right? The Arctic.
Yep.
Arctic. If you're standing outside the Tropic of Capricorn, what's it doing? Is it circling around you? No. It's coming towards you and then away from you. It's antarcing. And at certain times of the year, when you watch the sun come, you can watch it go up and down and circle around, and you can see it come towards you and away. I got a new video that will be out on the app soon that somebody made showing some great clips of the sun at different times, and it's clear that's what it's doing. But you can be convinced. The whole heliocentric system lie is amazing. You have to believe, somebody, something, some force put this lie together, or you have to believe, that the universe had the Big Bang. The whole world was just created from nothing. We evolved from monkeys, and the world is doing everything in its power to trick you into thinking that it's flat. It's not moving. You can't sense the moving. You can't sense curve. You can't find curvature. Everything is to trick you into believing it's flat, or maybe it's just flat. Okay? Pretty crazy.
It is. So with the moon then, is the moon actually lit up by the sun, or is that have its own independence? Like if you watch the video at the beginning, there's some, that being a luminary or perhaps plasma. Like there's a lot of different things about the moon. So how does that work?
Well, do you want to know what the moon is?
I want to know what you think the moon is. Yeah. Or what
I want to know what the moon is. I don't know what the moon is. I don't know what the moon is, right? This is a crazy thing. So you have to believe that this is the moon rising, okay?
Yeah.
No, well, that's it. It's coming up from below the horizon. No, it's not, okay? For one, this buoy, I shouldn't even be able to see this buoy out here. It should be below the curve.
Right.
And the horizon is I believe it's beyond where we're seeing the moon. But does this go outside on a sunny day and find a piece of when sometimes you see those concrete balls or something, like artwork or roadblocks or something, just a concrete ball, right? I have one. They don't light up like the moon and cast light. They're not casting shadows on things away, right? Those lights. Where the heck is? I thought I had one. Right? We don't see a rock. Look at it with the noon sun on it, and it should be casting light back on you, but it doesn't. Light doesn't reflect, right? Right. This is supposed to be the moon. Look how bright the moon is, and kind of looks like the moon that we're seeing. It looks like it's pretty damn local. The way it's lighting up those clouds, might even be within those clouds. What is the moon? We don't know. This is what NASA wants you to believe the moon is, and that's what the Earth looks like. Wait a minute. If I was standing there on the moon, that Earth shine should cast a shadow on me. It should reflect back to the moon and cast a shadow, just like the moon casts my shadow onto the ground, right? When you get into the inverse square law of light, every time you get half as close to a light, it's 4 times brighter. So if 230 miles away, if I went halfway there, it's 4 times brighter. Halfway again, it's 16 times brighter. Halfway again, it's 64 times brighter. Okay? It keeps on quadrupling. And so when you're 100 miles from the moon, it should be the moon should appear like 60 times brighter than we see the sun from Earth. Does that make any sense to you?
Yep. Yeah.
It does?
Well, no, I'm following you. I understand your thought. So no, that doesn't make sense. But
this is the moon. These clouds are moving around. Why is the moon 250,000 miles away lighting up just this cloud and not these clouds over here? Why isn't it lighting up all the clouds in the sky? Right?
Probably because it's local. That's like it's closer than we're told, and it.
Well, wait a minute. Why wouldn't an airplane crash into it then if it's that close, right? And the answer is because the moon is in a position relative to ours. If I'm watching the moon and I put you halfway between the clouds and me up in the air, you would see the moon farther away. Right. You would still see it farther away, right? When we go up, when we send a balloon up, the moon turns into a tiny little pinprick. The sun is still nice and big, but the moon turns into a tiny little pinprick. Wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, we're not getting that much closer to it, but it should be at least the same size as we see it from the ground. It turns into literally the size of a star. What the heck is going on there? This is what I was looking for. Noon sun on this thing. Does this look like the moon? Is this going to cast light 238,000 miles away and cast a shadow on the ground? This is self-illuminating. Does it have something to do with the sun? I couldn't tell you. I don't know. Right? Mm-hmm. This is not self-illuminating. This is not this is reflecting sunlight, but it ain't doing it. And also, wherever the sun is, there should be a hot spot. Why is the moon equally lit? Equally lit. Mm-hmm. Right? Right? You should have a hot spot like this. That's a hot spot. But we don't get that when we look at the full moon. Right? If nothing about this world, nothing, and you're just roaming around, you're only human here on Earth, you came out of nowhere, and you don't know anything, you would never, ever say that we're spinning, whirling, twirling in 4 different directions at once. We're spinning through the universe. You'd observe the stars every night, and you'd realize, when all of these stars are in this position, I know that it's July 5th or whatever the number is. And because every year on the same day, every single star is in the same position. But we're corkscrewing through space, going 4.5 billion miles a year, never to return to where we were before. All the other stars are moving in all of their own directions, and nothing ever changes, ever. That makes no sense whatsoever. None whatsoever.
So a nice Canadian flag there. Thank you.
There you go. This is 2 shots, Canada and Australia looking at the moon at the same time. Interesting, right?
Is that mirror image?
Well, they're upside down because if why are they upside down? Because on a flat plane, if the moon's in the middle over the tropics, where it is, somebody on the outside, the south, or somebody on the inside, the north, are looking 2 different directions at the same thing. They're looking at it from 2 different directions. Mm-hmm. Right? But one of them is appearing in the night sky, one of them is appearing in the day sky. Right? If the light refraction is turning our sky blue, right? Just like they tell us, how the hell can we see the moon when it's not that bright? How is that popping through? How come we can't see stars during the day? But we can see the moon during the day at certain times of the month. Right?
Yep.
This is the Red Bull space jump. People often use that. Look at this sort of curvature here. This is all New Mexico. Do you see a problem with all of this being New Mexico? Yes, you should see a problem.
The whole planet.
That's a quarter of the world is New Mexico. Yes, they're using a fisheye lens. Mm-hmm. However high this is, I'm not even sure that the freaking Red Bull jump even happened. Okay, and when we look, here he is on the ground. Here, the red line. Here he is at 127,000 feet. Ground, 127,000 feet. Why doesn't the horizon drop? Right?
Mm-hmm. So are you suggesting that this was kind of like green screen kind of type technology?
There's 2 possibilities. So first, this is what Google Earth said the horizon should look like from 10 feet, from 127,000 feet. It should have dropped. But as I showed you, it is exactly the same. You might even argue that it's higher in this one, but that's just what we're just going to say it's the same. So did Felix go up to 127,000 feet and jump? Maybe. If I had to bet, I wouldn't give you odds because there's a lot of anomalies of like on the back of his seat. There's some tubes and straps, and then they showed one just when he opened the door, it was one way, and then when he jumped out, it was another way. Like unless they took multiple jumps and they spliced them all together and said he did it once, I'm seriously questioning whether it ever happened at all. Right. So,
wouldn't be the first time that we've seen edited footage from space.
Yeah. Think about it. People think that they're flying around a ball like this. Airplane, not air globe, fly around the Earth plane, right? But to believe this is going on, right, on a spinning Earth, we're flying, right? This is absolute and total unthinking. This is indoctrination. Right? Look at that. You can't even wrap your mind around that. It's
practically,
no sense.
How do you project where you're going to land? Like it seems very challenging to be successful in those movements.
If you were right, go ahead, finish. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, then you apply the same thing to the flat map. Assuming that they're going from A to B, then it makes accepting the possibility that it's not moving and it's stationary, then it makes sense.
So if you were on the equator right here, and you're just sitting there on the runway, and you waited 24 hours, you go all the way around, and you've gone 24,000, 25,000 miles in one day. Okay, so you're moving about 1,000 miles an hour on the equator. But if you were all the way up here in Alaska, you're making a very small circle. Okay, you're still spinning around once a day, but you're making just this small circle up here. You're not making this big circle, so you're only going maybe 200 or 300 miles an hour, maybe even less. Okay, so if you're on an airplane sitting on a runway in Alaska, so you got your 200 or 300 miles an hour of spin inertia, and you take off and you fly to Ecuador, and you want to land on a runway that's oriented north-south like this. That runway is moving sideways at 1,000 miles an hour. How are you going to land on that? How's your plane going to gain speed sideways, twice its forward speed to land on a runway?
And why wouldn't we see that movement while we're in the plane too? Why wouldn't we lift and then all of a sudden everything moves?
Well, the rover will take gravity. Gravity is holding on to you, and as you're going, it's speeding you up because the air. You know why they tell us the atmosphere spins with the Earth? They say because of friction. The friction of the topographical plane of the ground is pushing the air, and then the air has its own friction, and it's just all coming together. But what? Air friction? I mean, we have summer breezes that blow left and right. We have hurricanes that spin, go in all different directions. How is that velcroed? How is that held on to the whole world? How is that? How is that possible? How is that possible? It's just not possible.
Yeah. So how does wind work then?
High pressure to low pressure. High pressure to low pressure. When you have high pressure next to low pressure, it equalizes unless there's a barrier, unless there's a physical barrier.
Okay. All right. Let's keep going.
Before we're talking about the deepest hole. Deepest hole is a great borehole. Less than 8 miles. That's like drilling halfway through the skin of an apple. Not even halfway through the skin, right? Oh. And they had no idea what they're going to hit. The ground penetrating radar was wrong the whole way. No more rocks, no more water. They hit rocks, they hit water, and then they hit an impenetrable barrier. They couldn't get through it for years, and they gave up. But somehow they know what the next 4,000 miles is. See, this is a meat in every textbook. What we're taught, that we have a molten magnetic core, okay? A molten magnetic core is like me giving you a bag of powdered water. Just add water, right? There's no such
Yeah.
thing. Okay?
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a molten magnetic core because before a magnet melts, as you heat it up, it loses all of its magnetism. Nowhere in nature can you melt a magnet and have it maintain
Still
its
make
magnetism even before it melts. So a molten magnetic core is just them laughing at us.
Well, they say that's the source of the lava and all that stuff from volcanoes. So where's that coming from if not not there?
Well, they want us to believe that volcanoes are spewing lava from the center of the earth, when in reality there's things called lava tubes, right? And I believe that they're made from, the earth is like a capacitor. It's soaking up all of this electricity from our sun and moon, and there's these circuits underground that melt the rock, melt everything, right? Electrical circuits, and they create lava tubes, and they're all over Hawaii. And occasionally they reach the ground and they start spewing lava. But nowhere in the world, excuse me, is there a triangular mountain spewing lava out of the top. Right? There may be some mountains where there is lava pools at the top, which are just from the lava tubes, but it's not coming from the center of the earth. Okay. They can't even drill a hole through it. Okay, with the best technology.
Let's see. That's the thing, right? Like, I mean, you're saying a lot of things, and this is like your theory. Well, not your theory, but the flat Earth theory, that goes against the other globe theory, because the only fact we really have is that NASA says, and all the space agency says, that this is the way that it is, and they're the scientists, they're the ones that have done all this, and we're told to believe that's true. And we don't have any way to fact check that other than trust them. And we really don't have a lot of trust for them because they lie about a whole bunch of other things, which makes this really, really hard. But what you're saying also can't be proven, just as well as the globe stuff can't be proven by us because we don't go to space. So that would mean the astronauts are all in on it. They have to be.
Well, they're all in on it except possibly Don Pettit, who might just be retarded. Okay? Okay. I'm allowed to say that word because he just look at him. Listen to him talk. He's like, we see the zodiacal lights, and it's a painful process to build it back again. But, that he's not the brightest guy in the world. So, and I think that a lot of these guys are under mind control. People like low astronauts, they were just lying, and you can tell by their press conference. And the way they live the rest of their lives. Some of them are in on it. Some of them are under mind control. Like right now on the International Space Fake Station, there's this black transgender boy girl up there. I think this person is totally under mind control. They're probably in a studio, even though she's hanging from wires. She's told that she's in the space station and she'll leave it. And with hypnosis and mind control, you can do that. Let's talk about some proof, some absolute proof, right? We're not just saying the Earth is flat. We can prove that it's not a ball. So this is we're gonna have a little math lesson. Okay, this is easy. Right triangle. We got A, B, and C. Right? A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Coming back. This is easy. This is what they taught us in school. So here's our person, and we have a straight down is a straight line, and perpendicular is a straight line. Okay, so they tell us the radius of Earth is this would be the radius from their position to the center and out, and the drop would be from here to the surface of the Earth. So let's take a look. So they tell us the radius is 3,963 miles. You with me? Pretty easy so far, right?
Yeah.
And let's just say we're going to go out 100 miles. Not to scale, people. Relax. 100 miles. So the Earth is constantly curving away more and more over that 100 miles. Mm-hmm. Okay? So radius, 3963, 100 miles. Radius squared plus distance squared. We got our numbers. Equals h, and h squared is 15,715. Okay, so if we take the square root, right, it's 3,964, right? So here are the actual numbers. So this is 3,964. So 3,964 minus 3,963, which would be the radius to the surface, right? This line would be the same line to the surface over there, equals 1.2615 miles left over. Okay?
Right.
So this, the 1.265 miles is 6,660 feet. We know that's the number. 8 inches per mile squared at 100 miles is 6,660 feet. So the Pythagorean theorem absolutely 100% proves that the curvature formula is right. Now, if you went out 10,000 miles, yeah, you got an issue. Okay, but we don't even need to see over 1,000 miles because you can't. So one of so let's put that into practice. So we have Mount Canigou, right? You can't see it 275 miles away, except when the sun lines up with it twice a year. It backs it up. The top of this mountain should be more than a mile below the curve. This should be more than, you can't see it until it lines up. From this viewing spot, it should be over a half a mile. I'm rounding down. But it's right there. You can see the sun. You can see the mountain. The globers will tell you, oh, that's what's behind the curve. It's just refracting and it's stopping at eye level perfectly. Because again, the whole universe is conspiring to make you think that the Earth is flat, not a globe. Or maybe it's just flat. Okay? Here's from, I don't know, in California. Mount Jacinto, 123 miles away. This is with an infrared lens. With a regular lens, it's just a blue sky, and your horizon's right here, okay? And you think, oh, that's the curvature of the Earth. But then you take out an infrared lens, there should be 7,000 feet of curvature at that distance, right? The very top of the mountain is all you should be able to see. You can see the whole mountain. Okay, that's all you need. That's what got me. It's like when I started seeing things that you can see too far, boats that zoom in and they come back up again. It's like, wait a minute, I can go. What's that?
I was going to say, is it possible that the globe is just bigger than what we're told? It's still a globe, because the math. I understand what you're saying. The math doesn't add up to what we've been told. Yeah. But what if it was still a globe and their math was wrong?
Yeah. So we can take their curvature formula. So I'm going to take this clip, but Taboo Conspiracy in my app underneath the experiments one, the top video is a fantastic one, and it's showing we're tracking some ships, and we see a ship that's 16 miles out, and we're like, wow, we can see the whole ship. We shouldn't be able to see it. It should be hidden behind curvature. And then all of a sudden, we can see water beyond the ship. If you can see the surface of the water beyond the ship, well, there's no curvature because you're still seeing the surface. Okay. And then we saw another ship miles behind it, miles farther away, maybe 10, 20 miles farther. Who knows how far it was. Okay. And it's going by. You can see it because, things ramp up. A ship in the foreground, another ship in the background. The one in the background is higher in your view because that's just how we see, right? If you think about it on a thing, the one in the distance is higher. It's smaller, but it's higher. So we can see this other ship miles and miles and miles beyond it. So let's just say it's 1 mile beyond it, just to be safe. 17 miles. For us to see the surface of the water at 17 miles away, the Earth would need a radius of over 300,000 miles. 300 it was over 300,000 miles. I got to get the exact number. Okay, 300,000 mile radius. when the radius they tell us is just less than 4,000, which I just showed you, 3963 or whatever it was, right? 4,000 mile radius ball or 300,000 mile radius massive ball. The problem is we'd still see curvature at that size, and we don't. We can see farther. So if I told you, hey, our globe, how many times bigger is that? Our globe is 1,000 times bigger than they tell us. That's a bigger problem. That's a problem also. There is no curvature, so it's not globe.
Yeah,
And you
well,
can't live.
There's a lie either way or misinformation, so it's not accurate. It's maybe correct.
Well, you know what? And by the way, that's right where I went. Like, all right, maybe it's just a ball. Maybe they're lying about the size of the ball because they want to hold on to the ball. No one likes to give up the ball, right? Can't see anything here. What we're doing by zooming in, we're increasing our angular size, so we're making the horizon bigger. And as we do, we can reveal that there's a ship right there, a boat, a sailboat. You couldn't see it because these little waves in the foreground. See, my finger can block it. No, but if my finger was a wave halfway in between, it could block the whole boat out. And so these little waves and the angular size bring it out of your view, and you can't see it. It's simple.
No,
it's simple, right? And then people say, "Well, what about photos of Earth?" Right? This is a famous NASA photo. Well, we can't go to space.
CGI to me, they don't look real.
They don't even look CGI. They look horrible paintings. I mean, just horrible, horrible. Yeah. When have you seen a cloud? You know, some of the clouds are bigger than countries. Okay, I don't think it works that way. But we can measure from Baja over to the west to the east coast of Mexico, and we get a distance of 934 miles. Well, they tell us the diameter, that's a straight line through the Earth, is 7,917. So we would need to fit 8.4 of these segments in between these two lines. Well, it doesn't even fit on this page. Okay? This right here 100% proves that this is a painting. A painting. 100%. So why is NASA making paintings of Earth?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's all part of the lie. I mean, flat or not, there is a lot of things that we were told that don't make any sense. I mean, and that alone for me is enough to question all the truth. One lie is enough to question all truth. It's something I say. So, yeah. Why
the lie? We'll get to why the lie in a minute. Here's all the beautiful the space station. Look at curve. You can see the atmosphere. It's so amazing, right? But when you look at this land feature, it's that.
Yeah. So, yeah, that don't make sense.
This is just from an airplane. They put it on at nighttime. I mean, it could even be faker than that, but that's all it is. And they curved it. Absolute and total nonsense. And when you start seeing that, you know, that's what they're doing, right? Here's another one, right? Oh, so cool, right? It's so cool.
So it's so much larger. Yeah, that would mean the Earth is bigger than that. But then if that's a painting or a drawing,
this is out of a window from an airplane. They curved it, said they're on the space station. Well, this is I think this is like another alleged photo from outer space of the Earth. Well, which curvature is right? Look at this. Yeah. That's a lot of the Earth, right?
Yeah.
It's all, they can't even get it. I go back and forth. Like, are they doing this on purpose? Are they doing this on purpose to see if we miss, or are they just that bad? Okay, right? All of this, right? Here's the picture we're just looking at. So I took all of this land, I circled it, and you have to believe that the rest of this land is on the other side of this.
Yeah, that's like a quarter of it.
If you can't see this, if you can't understand that they can't get their scale right, right? So here's this land right here, right?
Mhm.
There's nothing down here. So all of this land, all of this is on the other side of this ball.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, right?
No, yeah. unless this map that we're looking at is not to scale. And but that this is a good point, because like there's so many arguments that could be made with each of these systems, but not one system is perfect, other than this idea of the Earth being in a container and polar projection flat Earth. So
yeah, no, I get it. This. What are we looking at?
you're looking at two containers with level liquid.
That's thinking like a flat earther. Are we looking
Yep.
at a photo or a painting?
That could be a painting with closer look. But
Which one is a photo? Which one is a painting?
I can't tell the difference. But when you compare them, the Earth definitely looks like a painting to me. See, the other thing too with this planet stuff is like, and following the same thought of like, I believe what you're saying, but I don't understand what I'm seeing. So you can get CGI, good crisp photos of Pluto, supposed to be the furthest thing away, but yet you can't zoom in to the moon and show us any more details other than. And those photos
that's where we're gonna go next. But
also black and white, but we can clearly see that there's color.
Right. So, by the way, this is a painting.
That is a
This
painting.
is a painting also. But people are like, well, how am I going to paint this? Look at this. Yeah, you can paint this, right? Yeah. And there's no way you see these colors. You don't see green from millions of miles away through atmosphere. The entire Earth would look white because as you fire, everything just whites out. Okay? Mm-hmm. This is a painting. This is a painting. It took a lot more skill than this. Okay? Right?
That's more believable. I believe that painting to be real more than I believe that Earth to be real.
And then all of these, we'll get your shit together, NASA, right? Because it's a mess. It's a complete and total mess. All right. This is supposedly what's moving away from the Earth this fast, filming it, right? Mm-hmm. No, this is all CGI, made in Blender or whatever.
Well, I mean, so the way they explain that is they take multiple pictures and then they map it and then they create this animation. So they even admit that it's an animation, but by admitting that it's an animation, also is admitting that you are the opportunity to make it all up. So it's like it's like saying I didn't mean to kill them, but I wanted to. You know what I mean? Like it's not. It's contradicting.
Yeah, I got it. This is what color is Australia? Okay, this is what they want us to believe. I think Australia is much bigger than they're telling us. Australia is massive, right? This was on everyone's iPhone. The first iPhones that came out, and this was on it.
Yep.
Coolest thing ever. But when you look at it, they're lazy. They use Photoshop. Clone it, the stamp tool. Everyone's seen this. You've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Right.
So interesting with Australia. I recently came across in Darling Park, which
the pond, the little map there. Yeah, amazing.
An obelisk in the center, and I thought that was quite interesting. And then Australia being closest to the wall, perhaps. You would think someone from Australia would say something, but then the history of Australia was a prison. Put everybody.
That's what they tell us. That's what they tell us. But they built these prisoners built amazing structures. I'm not buying any of that story. Okay. This is some flat earthers made this in Photoshop. We're making a better looking globe than NASA, if you ask me. This is fake.
Yeah.
We made this. Okay. people are, how can you do that? You know, NASA's got real weather patterns on there.
Well, why don't we see stars? How come there's no stars? That's another thing I question too.
Aperture.
Right?
Aperture. Come on.
What's that? Sorry.
Aperture. They say the aperture.
Yeah, but I mean, you should still be able to see some. And then
So-
space debris, and then you got satellites that apparently, you know, is all over the place, but you never see it. Yeah.
Photoshop, right?
And why don't we
And
see
then,
satellites go in front of the moon?
So think about this. You ever go out and look up in the sky and see a little light move across the sky and go, oh, that's a satellite? That's what they tell us, these little lights. I don't know what they are. They're too fast to be airplanes. I don't know if they're natural phenomena or they're other technology or things from other worlds beyond Antarctica.
Mhm.
But if they were satellites, whenever we send a balloon up to 120,000 feet, right? Whenever we send a balloon up, we should be seeing these satellites blinking. They should be flashing all over. Sun's over here. There's 30,000 satellites circling around. They should be blasting our eyes. It should be like a light show. It should be incredible. Never once do we see a single flash from a single light, but we can watch a satellite cross all the way over. How is it reflecting that sun perfectly to my eyes? Okay. And everyone's eyes at the same time, right? Because when you reflect, like if I'm reflecting the sun at you off this, and somebody's standing 20 feet to the right of you, they're not seeing the reflection.
Right.
You are. But we see it go from horizon to horizon, and nothing happens from balloons, airplanes, space shuttle, nothing. Never. This 100% proves that their satellites are nonsense. Now, NASA has their balloon program. There's tens of thousands of satelloons up there, right?
Yeah.
Satelloons. And maybe they figured out some way with some technology to get things to stick into the firmament or hover out there using some sort of electric static anti gravity, for lack of a better word. Maybe. Right? How come Artemis doesn't see any satellites? Right?
Mm-hmm. That's from the recent Artemis?
Yeah, this is just from the other day.
That's bullshit. That's not.
Oh my God, that's the best one they have.
That's the best photo that Jesus.
Oh my God, the other stuff they have is absolute insanity how bad it is.
I saw a picture that showed the curvature of the arc of the rocket taking off and totally missing the moon.
Well, that's wrong. I'm going to show you that in a second. That's if you want to listen to their story, they're going to just laugh at you. Say, no, you don't understand. And I'll explain it. And they're right if you want to believe their nonsense story. Right? Why did it take Apollo 3 days to get to the moon and it takes Artemis 6 days?
I don't know.
Same trick 50 years later. Same trick 50 years later. Nothing is going to the moon. If it did, it would get there in a minute. Okay? This is the moon from Artemis. Featureless. Nonsense. This is the moon from Japan when they sent a probe around.
Yeah, that doesn't look great either, but it's still contradicting.
Yeah. It's like we could look at the moon from Earth with our naked eyes and see more detail than Artemis can.
Yeah. You can take a Nikon camera and zoom into the moon and see, the aura.
Incredible detail.
Yeah.
So this is why Artemis takes off and then it loops around the world before it slingshots to the moon. So that's why the argument is, the moon was up there, it took off and it went down and it went around and then it slingshotted to the moon. Which is complete and total nonsense, right? They want you to believe this is what's going on and it goes into this lunar orbit and it makes a big loop and then it ejects something and it sends it back to Earth, right? They're going to mass ejection to push it because there's nothing to push off of. So they're ejecting mass because Rockets don't work in space, right? A propeller on an airplane pushes off the air. A propeller on a boat pushes off of water. Take the propeller out of the water, or put a fan, an engine in a vacuum. Nothing happens.
Doesn't work.
So they have to eject back. So what is this capsule? This little capsule. What mass are they ejecting? Where? What direction? How is that going to send them up to Earth? Don't forget, it's whizzing, and the Earth, the moon is moving. Give me a break. But what people didn't notice. This is from NASA. What do you see here?
Well,
what do you see here?
It's a flat Earth map. Yeah.
It's a flat Earth map, and they didn't even bother to rotate it. Okay, they took the flat Earth map from online, and they didn't even bother to rotate it a little bit, just to throw us off maybe a little bit. Okay, they put it in the exact orientation.
Yeah. Minus the wall, right? but they
right.
Yeah, that is
right. So imagine if you're getting on a jumbo jet, a 300 or a 747 or whatever, and you looked out on the side of the plane was all of this PVC piping with these non-aerodynamic stuff. Would you feel a little nervous? Would you think like that's not a good idea to have that out there, causing turbulence, possibly getting ripped off from 500-mile-an-hour winds? 500-mile-an-hour winds will rip shit right off an airplane. That's why they're all aerodynamic, right? This thing's going 17,000 miles an hour with crap on it like this.
Yeah, no, it looks poorly made. I mean, and if you compare like the Moonlander too from back in the 60s, that looks like junk. And then, Hollywood movies. So what about the possibility of them actually landing on the moon, and but at the same time simultaneously filming a story to distract us from what's really on the moon? Is it?
Yeah, I used to believe that. I don't think the moon is a physical place, and I don't believe that ever anybody is on those rockets. No humans are ever on those rockets. I don't believe that a human can live separated from the Earth for very long, if at all.
And if there are places outside of the wall, the best way to get there without people knowing would be to send a rocket up and over the wall.
Or maybe through tunnels or through ships. We're finding ships that are going through Antarctica. Okay? And those are the ones somehow we got. Like, what if there's thousands of others that are beyond that? Right?
Right.
We don't know, right? This is when Artemis took off, think about this. Those rocket pads underneath the engines, that's going to lift this entire thing up. Watch when they show it here. I'm going to try to pause it. Look at this thing. Look at this thing.
Got those, what are those bags?
Yeah. I'm like, what?
Like balloons?
What's going on here?
I
think it's a big balloon. I think the whole thing is a helium tank, right? And it's got maybe a little bit of thrust, not much. Big light show, a lot of smoke.
Well, I ain't no rocket scientist, so I have no idea. But I mean, it does appear to be unsafe.
Why is this one? This is like overinflated right here.
Right.
Right. Why these would be exactly the same? Look at this thing. It looks like it's made of paper mache. All right. I don't know what this is. Right. I think this is just a big balloon. Right. It's a big deception. Right. This is them doing a little test, and during the test or before they did the test, watch what happens there. Oops. It's a big pressurized tank.
Just exploded, but it looks like cloth or something.
Right. Right. This is the SR-71. That thing looks pretty aerodynamic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Try putting some PVC piping on the side of that, see how long it lasts, right? The reason it's black is because the paint burns off, right? And it's only going Mach 3.2. Artemis goes Mach 33.
Okay.
No problem, okay? No problem. No problem whatsoever.
So if they're not going to space, where are the rockets going?
They go and mute a triangle, and then they show us cartoons.
Cartoons? Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, I guess so. So then it would be it's like a movie, but in order for this to be, that's where we get all these ideas about simulation and movies and things like that too. I mean, Disney, is closely connected to NASA as well, with film studio, all this other stuff. I know the history of Universal Studios too. Universal came out with a CGI image of the globe before we allegedly got the first photos of Earth. Like, there's a lot of timeline inconsistencies that suggest that NASA was, a film studio prior to becoming a space station. And then the Canadian Space Agency was created in like the 90s or something. Maybe not in the 90s, later than that. But yeah, founders of NASA.
Got Walt Disney.
Yeah. Walt Disney, right
Nazi. You got Jack Parsons and Aleister Crowley. These are the founders of NASA. If you can't see this problem, I can't help you.
Huh. Yeah, because Jack Parsons and Aleister Crowley were together with the Lima, right? Yeah. And then, ex-Nazi. Yeah. Yep. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And
Universal in 1927 had a spinning globe, and then when NASA finally sent a rocket up, it happened to match what they pre-programmed our minds with.
It's making me angry because it's
once you get over the anger and you realize, hey, this is really it's great to learn the truth. And then you can start unplugging from the matrix, which is stop giving your power away to these evil controllers. The problem is, if people Google flat Earth, they just get fed propaganda. They end up at the Flat Earth Society. They see the disc floating in space. They see a bunch of nonsense. They go to these professional troll channels, these anti-flat Earth channels, where, usually the guy's pretty well spoken, and they're out there just to keep you trapped, keep you lost. And that's what's fed to you. Right, so you have my app.
I have downloaded that app. I have used it. I couldn't quite understand it.
Well, let me give you a quick lesson. So
okay,
yeah, it's very intuitive. And by the way, there's instructions. I'll show you where the instructions are. But here's the challenge: I tell people, just get the app. It's $3 every day. There's a new video right here. Just tap this and watch a new video each day. Just when you're having your breakfast, whatever. Commuting to work, whatever it is. Watch the one video a day and see what happens after 2 weeks. You'll be like, whoa, especially if you think Flat Earth is dumb. There's nobody that can watch for 2 weeks and not end up at least throwing out the globe. And that's all that matters. If you miss some, you can hit the archive button. And we got all our functions over here. The top middle one, the question mark, and these come in different orders depending on how you set up your app. These are frequently asked questions like, hey, why the lie? If you click why the lie, up comes a playlist of videos that the Google doesn't want you to see that deal with why the lie. Awesome stuff. It'll blow your mind. All right. Hey, what about seasons? How do you explain seasons? Click the seasons button. And again, videos that they don't want you to see, but they're still there why they can. If you hit the web, the one that looks like a spider web, this is what I call the more resources page. All sorts of stuff. We even have mud floods, right here. We have debunking the debunkers. If you ever see a debunking video, go here, find the related video to it, and then watch it. And then you'll see how stupid the other one was. Biblical flat earth, amazing stuff there, whether you believe in the Bible or not. Here are my interviews. And then I'm going to be making a comprehensive one, but here are some instruction videos. So I keep adding new ones to this list all the time that'll go through all sorts of stuff on the app. There's the books button, which will bring you to where we have all sorts of books, kids' books, adult books. A great book right here, 16 Emergency Landings Proving Flat Earth. We didn't even get into that. We have, this is just Flat Earth products, Flat Earth related stuff. Anybody that's selling something that's cool for Flat Earth, it's on this page. We're adding more and more all the time. And we have our homeschooling section. Marty leads with his Gnostic church every Sunday. Amazing, amazing, amazing stuff. Curriculum for homeschooling. We got Crow Triple video. We got Owen Benjamin's on here with his Beartaria. All sorts of resources for homesteading and homeschooling. More and more is being added. We have different languages. If you hit the flags button, top right, this is the most fun one though. The friend finder. We hit that, and up comes. It'll show you all of the other users around you. So just around me right now, these are all of the people that are using the friend finder. And I could literally tap on a dot and I could pull up the person's name, look at their profile. I could send them a message. I could say, all right, you know what? I want to do 50 kilometers. And so within 50 kilometers, I have 477 people. I could send a message. Hey, I'm having a meetup at Rico's Bar and Grill Saturday, 4 p.m. And bam, I just invited 477 people in one fell swoop. In the friend finder, you can go to the messaging section, and there's groups. You can join. There's all of these groups. You can join a group. You can create your own group, and then you go to your messages, and I can go like, this is the beta test group. And I'll even start a call. I'm going to ruin the magic for you. And here I am. And I just started a call. And so if anybody is paying attention, they'll jump on the call in a minute, and we can have a group video call. And some of the conversations that go on there are amazing. Like I jumped on with these guys from all over the world. We're talking. And what are they talking about? They're talking about all different stuff. And people just jump on while they're driving in their car, truck drivers. Or just people that just want to talk about a specific thing. There's the THC group, the Truthers Hour of Comedy. We did a live one. Here's Lowry. Lowry, what's up? I'm on a show. I can't hear you. And now they have this kind of this group. So like if you created a group, Tinfoil Hat, and people jumped in that had it. So now you can have like, hey, post-show wrap-up questions about the show, all sorts of stuff. There's all sorts of stuff in there. Lowry's in Brooklyn, looking around, probably bar hopping on this Thanksgiving. Just finished eating. All right. A little test for joining. And we can get up. We've had up to, how many people do we have in here? 25, 30? We did a test once. It depends on how many people jump on. So it's literally a very stable video platform. See you, Belly. See ya.
Cool.
Yeah. And it does amazing stuff. And the friend finder is people are using it to find jobs, to hire people, because guess what? All of these people are awake and aware. Okay, all of these people are awake and aware. I'd rather hire any one of these than anybody I could find somewhere else. But people are using it for a dating site because guess what? These are all attractive, awake, aware people. All right, so you have more in common with one of these blue dots than any dating site can put you together with. So it's a way to bring people together.
So it asks for a referral code.
Okay, so referral code. Hold on. A referral code is if somebody like in my app. Don't go past screen. If I click right here, this is my referral area, and it shows you that I have 41 people. Don't use my code. You're going to use code Lowry, Lowry. That was who jumped on. We'll give him the referral point. Okay, Lowry. All right, and so now he just got a referral. And what are the referrals good for? Well, one, everyone likes waking up people to flat Earth. Okay, and so that's just a good thing. But in the app's $3. But if you want to send messages to somebody or read messages from people or use the profile section, you have to be a subscriber. And the subscription, ready? It's $11 a year. Okay, nothing. You bought me a margarita. You forgot to tip the bartender. But if you don't want to pay the $11, you can get in 11 referral points, and that pays for the year. So all you do is tell 11 people about the app. They use your referral code. You have 11. Cash them in, and now you've bought a subscription for a year. So that's the app in a nutshell. But the app shows you, if you go to the images section, I hit the colorful wheel, and here are images. Like you're talking to somebody like, yeah, we went to the moon. You're like, oh, we went to the moon in this thing. And you can text these pictures. You can email them. You can save them. You can show people, look at this. This is a spaceship. Are you freaking kidding me? Look at this stuff. This is like a homeless tweaker shelter, right? This is nonsense. And they want us to believe that this thing landed on the moon with two guys in golf clubs and a dune buggy, okay? In it.
So you know what? That just made me think of something else that kind of hurts my brain. Neil Armstrong, first man on the moon. Who
filmed that?
Was filming that?
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
That is one thing that kind of blows my mind.
What if the world was set up like this? We live here. Here's Antarctica, and there's more. What's out here? Okay. Mm-hmm. This is the map I like the best, right? We live here.
I've looked into
We live here. Right? This is our pond with different rings. It might be 3 suns, 1 sun, 2 suns, and 3 suns. They go around. But then here are other pieces of the planets. Okay? Other worlds right here, just thousands of miles away, not incomprehensible, impossible light years. Okay?
Where's the artist here getting the source of information to think that?
Here's the question. This is a book. If you go to the book section and scroll down, it's the navigator who crossed the ice wall. Short book, great book. There's 3 of them. I just got the other 2, and I haven't read them yet. But it's an amazing story. Whether it's real or not, can't tell you, but it makes a lot of sense. Basically, it takes Star Wars and puts it here in a physically possible world where there is conflicts between these puddles. There is a federation of planets, pieces of the plane. And there's people that do travel in between them, and there's hostile areas and not hostile areas and safe lands and all sorts of stuff. But one of the things they said in the book is that every human has this connection to the source. And if they're connected to the source, they become very powerful. The more connected they are. Well, the source, what does that sound like? The force. Mm-hmm. Like they're telling us truth. Source is the force from Star Wars. And and traveling in between these intergalactic or plane, whatever the word, across the plane, that is physically possible. Going to, a space vacuum in the middle of nowhere, in a space vacuum to distant planets is just ridiculous. Our closest planet is 25 trillion miles away. You can't fathom that distance.
And then that would make traveling all that in the outer space. So if
you're traveling at 100,000 miles an hour, it would take you 28,000 years to get to the closest star. Okay?
Uh-huh.
And the other ones are magnitudes farther. Or if there are more lands, which I personally think there are, but we just want the right to go out there, or you can just travel to these ponds. This might be, what is this, 100, 200,000 miles, maybe 300,000 miles. I mean, that's like a light second. They're talking light years, nonsense.
So then the planets that we're seeing could be luminaries for these other ponds.
I don't know. Again, we don't know what the stars are. We don't know where their source is. We don't know anything. They can be coming from the center of the Earth, being projected up like a freaking planetarium. I don't know. The southern stars could be reflections of the northern stars. There could be 4 different rotations in the south, right? We don't know. But what we do know is that the sizes and distances they tell us are impossible, right? Our sun at 93 million miles away is the size of a coin held at arm's length. If you moved it a mile over your head, it would fill the entire sky. If the sun was just a mile directly above you, it would fill your entire sky, horizon to horizon. Okay? You agree with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
With me?
Mm-hmm.
So we move it 93 million miles away, it's the size of a coin. So it went from the entire sky to the size of a coin. If I doubled the distance, how much smaller would it get?
A dime? Smaller coin?
What if I made it 8 times as far? Could you even see it? And
No.
the answer is the angular size calculator will tell you that it's too small to see. Let's be safe. Let's make it, if I made it 8 times as far, that's too small to see, but let's make it 24 times farther. Because that would be a light day. Because 8 times as far is a light hour, right? Because the sun is 8 light minutes away. So 8 times 8 is 64. We'll call that a light hour. 24 times farther than that impossible distance is 1 light day. Okay. Now they tell us our sun is 400 times bigger and 400 times farther than the moon. That's why they look like they're the same size, or maybe they're just the same size, right? So scaling and distance, they tell us is working. So let's use scaling and distance to prove their nonsense. So at a light day away, the sun is magnitudes, many times over, too small to see. Okay? Many times over. Scientifically provable. Polaris, they tell us, is 48 times bigger than our sun. So we bring Polaris to here, we move it 48 light days away. It would be the same impossible size to see. Magnitudes.
Mm-hmm.
Magnitudes too small to see. That would be 48 light days away, not even 2 friggin' light months away. And they tell us Polaris is 433 light years away. And we can see it with our naked eye. Here's the problem. Half the people or more listening to what I just said short-circuited because they can't follow the simple math. Because we weren't taught to think. We were taught to memorize and regurgitate.
And we can't prove it. We can't get out there unless we have millions of dollars.
But hold on. If I told you that we can prove it. We can prove what they're saying is a lie because it's scientifically impossible. Right? We don't know, I don't believe the sun is this giant thing. I believe it's right here within our atmosphere. Okay, whatever it is, it's a projected point of energy. But they tell us that the sun is a certain distance. Okay, well, they tell us polarity. We can keep moving things, right? And I'm using their distances. 93 million miles times 8 times 24 is a light day. Impossible to see. Impossible. And then let's take Polaris. 48 times farther is 48 light days, not even 2 months. Impossible to see. Ignoring the other issue with the brightness. As you get farther, it should get dimmer and dimmer, right? The brightness would have to be ridiculous. We don't even have to go there because we can't see it at 2 light days away. 48 light days away. It would be magnitudes too small. Magnitudes. And they tell us it's 433 light years. 433 light days away would be ridiculous. So that is scientifically provable mathematically. Our eyes could not see it. So everything about the motion of the stars, where they are, what they're doing, off the table. We don't even know what they are. We don't know how far they are. We don't know how big they are. We don't know what they are. So when someone says, well, they rotate the other direction in the south, there's a whole bunch of reasons that could happen. We don't know. We don't know what they are. So stop talking about the lights in the sky, thinking that you know what they are.
So what about beings, other alternative species? How would that fit in this? Are they in the outer space, extraterrestrial, so extra land?
Extra land, extraterrestrial. Look, if somebody came to visit us from here, they might be considered an extra terra, extra land, extra territory, an extraterrestrial from where? The outer space, coming to the inner space. They can come here, they can abduct you, they can anally probe you, and make back to the inner worlds. Okay?
Yeah. And then that
Right?
is that a black sun that I saw in that? Was that a black object?
This one. So who knows, like, where these maps came from? But this got a black sun, and it's got some weird stuff in it. Some very interesting stuff. The Summer's Gate, very interesting. Maybe that's why they're trying to avoid global warming, because maybe this is when this gate opens up during the long scale, what they call the summer, where we might be in the summer right now. The world might be in the summer season. I don't know, but we want the right to explore. We want the right to explore our world. We want the technology that they're hiding from us, right? Right? Airships. They took airships away. They demonized hydrogen, and NASA controls all the helium in the world. Right?
Yeah, they need it for all their satellites.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. Exactly. So the app does all of that and much more. And everything can be found at flatearthdave.com, right? Be careful. There's a lot of people go to the Android store, and there's a bunch of anti-flat earthers that they tried to do what my app did, but they're so far behind. But it just leads you to nonsense information, and it has the same name. Just go to flatearthdave.com, click the link at the top, the big banner, and then you'll get the right app. And make sure you use what's your referral code? So go. You open up your app right now. Go into the friend finder. Are you in the friend finder?
I don't know. I don't want
people
to know where. Which one's the friend
No,
finder?
you're not. The handshaking, right? You logged in already, right?
Yeah. Custom.
Okay. And then see there. So go to click that little pencil and create a custom referral code. Like, call it tinfoil. Whatever you want. You have up to 7 characters.
What freaking pencil are you talking about? Hold
on. So right here, there should be a pencil. Look where I'm pointing. Right here.
Give me a pop-up. Custom referral code.
Yeah. So now type it in. You have up to 7 characters. So type in, how about tinfoil? One word. Or whatever you want to call it. You can make it 2 letters.
I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out later.
I was just going to say, tell people now, so anyone that's downloaded the app can use your referral code.
Well, I'm having a hard time. Oh.
Okay,
so I press the hands. I press the shaking hands.
Yeah.
And then it brings up register to use friend finder. So I have to register.
All right, so you have to just put an email and a password. No personal information, just an email and a password. You can even make up an email address, but don't forget your password if you do that.
Yeah, okay. I'm just going to use the standard one.
All right, and then once you're logged in, you can click the button right here, and then customize your referral code. Or anybody downloading it, just use the code DITRH, deep inside the rabbit hole, DITRH. Since you're being a little slow on putting yours together, I will steal your referrals.
Okay, well, go ahead. Yeah, I'm getting there.
Shout out to Oxbow Spirit in the chat. Thanks for coming. I haven't been watching the chat. Is everyone behaving in there? Any people freaking out that I'm trying to steal their ball away?
I have you full screen, so I had CC manage the chat. So we'll see what.
Right.
Okay, now
what happens?
Please fill up to the details. So I can make a username.
I make a username, and you can change that at any time, but it's best just to pick one. You can put your name, tinfoil hat, whatever you want.
I'm going to call it the Experiencer Support Association because that's what we are.
That's a really long name.
Yeah?
So call it whatever you want. Okay. I don't think there's a limit on the name.
Nope, it took it.
Okay, and now click out of that, and then click button on the top left, on the middle button on the top, right here. This button.
The orange. Okay, I see it. I got a referral code
They are
number.
so you're so click the pencil next to it. You can change it once. So make it something that's easy to spell, that people will remember, that you'll remember. Like, oh, use my referral code, Tinfoil.
Yeah, it's actually going to be TESA, TESA, the Experiencer Support Association.
TESA.
There you go, right
That's
there.
TESA.
There you go. I'm on it. All right, I'm on it.
TESA. So someone that, if you download the app, make sure you put TESA when it asks you for a referral code.
Okay. I'll have fun with
and
this.
These referral codes can be traded in for sins when you're at the pearly gates. Just another benefit. Another benefit. Yeah. Because when you wake someone up to the flat earth, you unplug them from the matrix and you bring them back to the creator. Okay? So people say, why the lie?
There's like nobody in my area. Nobody believes this stuff. Oh no! Oh yeah! No,
it takes a moment. It takes a moment to load. It takes a moment to load. You got to give it time. There's plenty of people.
That's funny.
There you go.
Cool. All right.
So I want to read you what I call what do I call it? I don't even have a name for it. Here's the thing. Why are they lying about the flat earth? And the answer is because they're hiding your true potential. They're hiding the fact that your thoughts become things, right? So the present is defined by a confluence of your thoughts, inspired by or regulated by your beliefs, right? That makes sense. Your beliefs can be changed, upgraded, or banished by just choosing new thoughts. Makes sense. The future becomes the present when your expectations evolve. Okay, right? When your expectations evolve, you're able to move forward. Time measures how much effort you require to change your thoughts. That makes sense. Your current time and space shows exactly what you are thinking now. Makes perfect sense, right? So the bottom line is thoughts become things, which is all you really need to know. They don't want you to know that you have that power. They want to limit your thoughts, putting in a ball. We're running out of water. We're running out of resources. We're overpowered. We're carbon bad. Carbon's actually good. Okay, the more carbon we produce, the more green will go. The healthier way. They've inverted everything. They want you to think that the world will go to chaos unless they govern and can control your mind, and that's what they do. Okay, and that they want to keep you enslaved. That's it. And then when you say there's a lot of people that have to be in on it, no, all of the people that aren't in on it, they're the worst gatekeepers of all. No, I'm not looking at that. You're an idiot. They ridicule you. They banish you from family meetings. They do all of this stuff, and they have no idea what the hell they're talking about. Flat earthers know more about their globe model than they do. Because if they knew a tenth of what we knew about the globe, what we're told about the globe, they'd be flat earthers.
Yeah, I guess. That's hard. I can't go back.
No, you're not going back. And you don't want to go back.
But I mean, it doesn't mean I actually believe this stuff either. But
it's not about believing. So here's the thing.
Hold on. Where I'm at is I don't believe what I'm being told. I don't know what is real outside of what we're being told, but I am pretty well convinced that it's not the truth. And then that doesn't mean the earth is flat. It just means I don't trust.
Is the earth a globe floating through infinite space?
It could be. I don't understand how science
Can you give me one proof that the earth is a globe? Just one.
I can't.
You can't. You can't because there aren't any. There are no proofs. Okay.
Okay.
So the reason that they lie is because it's for a legal reason, right? There's divine law, which is the law of God. There's common law, which is the law of the land. There's statute law or admiral maritime law, which is the law of the sea or man's law, right? That's what the court systems use. Okay? They have to convince you that you're not divine, that you're not in a divine world in order to take this away from you. Because if they get you down here, then you have to abide by their rules. Okay?
Right.
But divine law is above the law of the land. Okay? But these two are where you live. But if you let them convince you you're a spinning ball flying the godless universe, they can trick you out of all of this. And they could say, oh, we'll give you your rights. Nobody grants you rights. You have divine rights.
Mm-hmm.
When you say, I believe it's a ball, come up with one reason. And you can't. Because if you did, you'd win 3 Bitcoins, by the way. Offering 3 Bitcoins for one proof of the globe.
Solid proof. What is proof, though? I mean, like,
one proof. Show me curvature. Show me axial rotation. Explain to me how we can travel 4.5 billion miles a year, and I go out and look at the stars, and they're in the exact same position a year later, 10 years later, 50 years later. Okay? Nothing changes, right? I lived in the same town my entire life. I've been in the water. I'm a windsurfer, kite surfer, swimmer, and the water and the rocks are at the exact same level they were when I was a kid. Okay? We're supposed to be underwater, according to Al Gore. Okay? Everything is a lie. It's all lies. It's all massive lies. And it's to control your mind.
What's the deal with this firmament idea? This dome?
What's the deal?
Well, how has anyone ever found evidence of us being in that container? And are we underwater? Above, so below?
Well, it seems like we're underwater. You know, again, we're not allowed to go to these. You know, we can't anything higher than we can go ourselves. We don't know, but we can watch these launches that they do. Right? The SpaceX launches, all nonsense. You know, the Artemis launch, which they just did the other day, complete and total nonsense. I'm trying to find. Where the hell did it go? You know about the where is it? Oh, here it is. So you know about the Go Fast rocket? Red Bull. You know what? It went up 72 miles, and all of a sudden it went kerplunk, and it went into something. It stopped spinning, and it stopped the forward motion. It went into a thicker medium. What is that? I don't know. Was it water? I don't know if it was that thick. Okay, but it did this weird thing. It was floating in a weird way. But one thing that happened, which is very interesting, when it rolled on its side, all of a sudden you could see the moon, which is right there. That's the moon. Look at the horizon. That's the moon.
Mm-hmm.
So if we go and look, it took off in Arizona. The moon was over Australia. Doesn't work on a ball.
No, because then if it's on the flat map, can you
If
show the distance?
If we're here,
Yeah.
that rocket is a millimeter over here, and the moon was down here under Australia.
Yeah.
Over here.
So if
Moon
that
was down here.
if I'll show you here. So if it was flat, then when it came up, then it's just like it's right there. It's directly. It's a shorter distance. And I seen this study, or not the study, but I seen the explanation about these weird layovers and flight paths and stuff that seem odd when you're traveling all over a globe. But if you match the trajectory on a flat map, it's a straight line. You know, like there's a lot of, they tell us to turn our cell phones off in airplanes. Is that because they don't want us to, see where we're actually going? Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Well, like if it was really a problem, don't you think terrorists could use it? If it was really about terrorists, it's absolute insanity. here's an emergency landing. They all the way up to Seattle, right? Which is 1,000 miles out of the way. They got there incredibly fast, but if you look at it, it's actually on that exact flight, on that route. And here's one. This is a good one. This one. From Hong Kong, they're going to the UK, 12-hour flight, and the mother died about 4 hours. The whole family was flying together, and the mother died right in her seat. Died suddenly. Interesting. Okay. And they left her in her seat for 8 hours. They couldn't land for 8 hours. Well, there's airport. There's tons of airports all through here that they could have landed on, right? The problem was two problems. On a flat Earth map, mom dies. Now they're over Russia. One, we're not supposed to fly over Russia, I thought. Well, the airlines fly over Russia all the time. They just don't tell us. Two, if we landed in Russia, help, please. Russia, good guy. Can't have that. Russia's bad guy right now. And three, what the hell are we doing over Russia? Right? Well, that's one or three. Why are we over Russia? So one, they can't admit they're over Russia, and two, they couldn't land in Russia because then Russia would probably cooperate and be good guys, right? And that would cause a whole, well, maybe we should not be at war. Okay. 8 hours. And then to get to, why didn't they just continue at that point another hour, get to London, but they landed here? Okay.
Yeah.
There's no other excuse. They were over Russia.
You made me think of something that I don't know if it's connected to flat Earth, but it's in that whole lie thing, because Russia, and we talked about mudslides or mud floods, and then Tartaria was a lot of the images that I was showing at the beginning. Is there any connection to that, with that secret being this free energy and all that other stuff? But that's closer to the center of the Earth than the ice wall, but we can't touch the center of the Earth either.
There's mud going on right now in Australia. I don't know what's going on. So there's no question that there was mud floods. Was there a worldwide mud flood at the same time? What caused it? When did it happen? I couldn't answer any of those questions. But there's mud flood buildings here in Connecticut, in New York, and they're happening right now in Australia and in India. There's Pakistan. Crazy mud floods are going on right now. But they're not showing any of that. Let me show you one more emergency landing. This one. Flying from New York to Auckland, New Zealand. Emergency happened here. They went to Fiji. This is huge distance. Why did they continue here? It's arguably the same distance, if not closer. Okay?
Yeah.
But when we look at it on a flat Earth map, bam, Fiji. Right there. So emergency happened here. They landed in Fiji.
Mm-hmm. So the pilots, but then see, the pilots know. And I've seen some videos.
A lot of pilots know. A lot of pilots don't know. They're just told where to land, and they're not. They're like, oh, this is where they want us to land. They're not getting out a map. They're not looking at it. They're looking at the actual airline map that I showed you, right? Mm-hmm. They're looking at this map, right? They're looking at this map, so it makes perfect sense to them. They're not comparing it. No one's got a globe and go, this doesn't work on a globe. This is what they're using. And that's why they're not even questioning it. Look, bam, right there. They're just going like this. They don't see it. They don't understand that this doesn't match a globe. And lots of them do. And they tell us, the Qantas pilots tell us, they're not allowed to talk about it because they'll lose their jobs. They have to feed their families. So they don't talk about it other than amongst themselves.
Mm-hmm. So when they go up with stuff, I mean, that's the other thing too, is like you would think they would come out and then curve, and then I don't know, unless the Earth is a lot bigger than they tell us, then the globe thing could be possible. But
that doesn't work. There is no curvature. You can't stick. There's no people antipodal to us, right? I have to believe that up is down for someone in Australia, where down is down. Down is down for everybody. Okay,
and
down is this way.
everybody too. South is
South is
of,
away from south is in different directions. That's south, that's south, that's south,
Yeah.
and that's south. Okay?
Yeah.
South is every direction away from the center. Here's the North Pole.
Mm-hmm.
South is this way. South is this way. South is this way. South is this way. South every direction. If I'm going north, 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 south. If I'm going west, I'm going south. If I'm going east, I'm going south. West is a circle. Now that's west, right? East is a circle. 90 degrees on my compass will take me right back to where I started from because my needle always has to point towards the north. So 90 degrees is a circle. 90 degrees is 270 is a circle. South is south. South is south. South is my back to the north. And once you understand that in the app, hit the frequently asked question, what about circumnavigation? Watch those videos. In the app, what about seasons? Watch those videos. Ships over the horizon, watch those videos. Why the lie? Watch those videos. Watch them all. And then you'll know. And if you really want to have some fun, turn off Netflix, hit the web button, scroll down, and hit this button right here, Flat Earth Videos, FE Movies. Full-length features from just under an hour to hour and a half, some of them. Blow your mind. You can watch all of them and then watch them again, okay? And then you'll know, right? Then you'll know, right? This is all the work's been done for you, right? You want to be lazy? It's all done for you. It's all organized here. The videos are put together. The research has been done. In the frequently asked questions, you say, go to Antarctica. What about the 24-hour sun? Watch the videos there. Watch the video called Sorry, Antarctica's Closed to understand why Antarctica's closed or how they did it. Okay? People think, oh, you can go to Antarctica. No, you can't. You can go to the edge, get a little tour of the penguins and some ice. That's it. No independent exploration of Antarctica. Why isn't ExxonMobil going, let us go to Antarctica and get oil and gas and coal and uranium? But they don't. And no one questions. They're not even allowed to question it until the year 2041. So
some of the settings you got on here too. You got to set up like a clock too. You have the zodiacs. So
yeah, the real quick, the sun goes around wherever the sun is. It's noon. It's noon right there in Western Australia, right? It's 6 a.m. here, right? Sun's coming around, and when it's here, I'm over here, right? Eastern time zone, and the sun will be rising. My sun's coming up here, right? Sunrise right around now. And my buddies on the West Coast, it's still not sunrise yet. They got to wait another 3 hours. It comes around. So the sun keeps track of the hours and the days, right? It laps the moon. The moon's a new moon right now, but the moon will be coming out from underneath it. It laps the moon every 28 days. So the moon keeps track of the weeks and the moons. There used to be 28 moons. Now 13 moons of 28 days. Sorry, 13 moons, 28 days. And then if I turn on the stars lap the sun once a year. So the sun will drift backwards through each zodiac for about a month. This only works on a flat Earth. It doesn't work on a globe. The constellations never change. They're fixed in their positions.
And
Polaris keep track of the seasons and the years. Well, the scientism will tell you, oh, we used to have a different North Star. It's drifting. The Polaris, it's not true, right? It's always been our North Star. When the pyramids were built, they have shafts that still point to the North Star, right? Oh no, it pointed at Thuban, but now it points to Polaris. And we just happen to live in the time where it's pointing towards Polaris. So many proofs, so much stuff. I recommend get the app, hit this button, go to my interviews channel. There's over 500 interviews in that playlist. Watch them, learn.
Cool, man.
Unplug from the Matrix. FlatEarthDave.com. You can book me there. You can ask questions there. If you need support for your app, if you have an issue, hit the support important. We'll take care of it for you. You can get the app. You can take the crash course. You can listen to my podcast. What can you do there? There's some good links there. Check it out.
Cool, man. Is there anything that we haven't covered? Right?
Yes, 1,000 things.
1,000 things.
1,000 things. What's your proof of the globe before we go?
I can't even prove whether or not this can in my hand is real, let alone the fucking globe. Like, I mean,
we can see too far. There is no curvature. Water lays flat. We're not spinning. We're not moving. Okay? There's tons of proof. There's an overwhelming amount of proof for flat Earth, a non-rotating Earth. How it was built, who built it, where we are exactly, what's beyond the ice wall, what's above us, what are the stars? We don't know. We're trying to find it out, though. But one thing that we do know for sure is we don't live on a spinning ball in a scientifically impossible space vacuum. All right, we went full 2 hours, man. I got to roll.
Yeah, we sure did. Thank you so much for staying. I really appreciate that. Everybody, you know how to find them. We're gonna figure out how to dive into this rabbit hole, and we're gonna do the after chat. So stick around for that. I'm gonna play my outro. Dave, thank you so much. Stay in touch. Fun fact: I happened to come across an archive in the New Brunswick or Newfoundland University that has some ancient Flat Earth Society documents that have not been released yet. That I kind of asked.
We're not the Flat Earth Society. The Flat Earth Society is a controlled opposition nonsense. It's a tiny bit of truth and a bunch of nonsense. You Google Flat Earth, you end up at the Flat Earth Society. That's where they want you.
Ask. So that's the That's the bad one.
Obama mentioned the Flat Earth Society a half a dozen times in his speeches. We don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society. He wants you to go there. They want you to go there because if you go there, you'll laugh at Flat Earth and you'll never entertain it again. Okay? You'll look at it, and so that is controlled opposition, 100%. That's where those images of the disc floating in space come from, right? Flat Earth Society is nonsense, garbage.
I appreciate that because I was kind of thinking so. I felt like that was a faction that was an anti-faction against this. Okay. We'll end it. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching, everybody. Keep your eyes in the sky. Feed the world. And we'll see you soon.
That's it, everybody. That is a wrap. That is the end of it all. Thank you for joining me tonight. I look forward to seeing you back next week, where we'll continue to have this conversation deep down into the rabbit hole in which we call the ultra spectrum. Thanks for joining us. I said that already. Oh well, fuck it. Feed the world. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Beyond the Tinfoil Hat.
If you're not watching us on YouTube, you're missing out on the live after chat between Ryan Stacy and Cece.
In the after chat, we'll be speaking directly with those in the live chat to answer their questions and comments.
We also provide the latest updates for the Experiencer Support Association and our professional partners.
If you're interested to learn more about Tessa and what we do and see the video that goes with the audio, please visit the Experiencer Support Association on YouTube and subscribe. If you do this, you'll be able to join our live chat discussion.
Don't forget that notification bell for updates on all Tessa content and posts. Consider becoming a member of the Tessa channel for additional perks and exclusive content.
You can find us at www.experiencersupport.org to learn more about the work we do and the support we offer for experiencers and the resources and content available for these researchers, investigators, and enthusiasts of paranormal phenomena.
You are not alone, and we believe you.
Thanks for tuning in. Keep your eyes in the sky and
heed the world.
Oh, hi.
Just reading some reading material.
I'm just taking another look at this book I thought was crap and looking at it for another. So we got a lot of people here in the chat. I have a lot of comments. So thank you for starting all that and taking care of that because I wanted to get right into that. Now,
No worries.
where are you in this? Because I cannot say, and he called me on it. There's no fucking way I can come back and say I'm not a flat earther. There's no way. It's done. I'll admit it. I'm convinced. I can't be unconvinced that this is happening, but I don't know. I cannot, but I know enough now that I don't know enough about what's really going on to be able to make an informed decision, and I'm really confused, and that's bothering me. So where do you come from?
I don't know. This subject's really hard for me. You know, at the beginning, like I was quite triggered by it. Like I've had my own experiences where I feel I've had, you know, an overview of the Earth, you could say, or of the moon or respective planets. So, like, it's hard for me to say I'm 100% flat Earth, but I am saying that, like, I'm not saying it's impossible. And it's just having me think in different ways, but it's also getting me to question, you know, how much of my experiences might be um, through a lens, an indoctrinated lens, perhaps, and like how much of it can I trust, especially if it's more of a psychogenic or a, you know, internal sort of experience. It just gets me thinking like that, and so it's really hard for me to go down that rabbit hole because it opens up um a lot in terms of like my fluid worldview that's already like adapting and moving and you know that I've learned to embrace. But it's like it just doesn't, for me, flat earth doesn't quite fit in the puzzle, I guess you could say, that I've got going on with my fluid worldview. But it's not to say that I don't think there's something to it. It certainly is starting to intrigue me more. And like, I'm just thinking of it more, I think, on a dimensional plane aspect rather than, you know, more physical at this point in time.
So we both agree that it's not a globe. That's the main point he was trying to make. We may not know that it's definitely not what they say it is.
I don't know. I just feel like it could be like it to a degree it can be like objective, right? Just like art or like no, but look, if you think about it, it could theoretically be a globe and flat at the same time if you know
it's a word, it's a play on words here, but
yeah.
It feels like we're being lied to. It feels like it.
Yes, that part of it.
I feel like I'm being lied to. What that lie is, I don't know. Okay. Let's say hello. You start. Oh, perfect. You start a whole bunch. Joanne Kiefer, hello. Welcome to the channel. Phil Jones. Dave's the best, man. Cool story, bro. Awesome. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, Ray. You're here. Was Ray quite the debunker today? Was he
vocal today?
Today?
Yeah, good. I don't know if he's managed to officially be a debunker yet, though.
No, yet. He's quite chatty. Good to see you. For a guy who doesn't like this stuff, sure tunes in every time we're doing this topic. Gigi, or I did that again. Is it Gigi? Gigi Abby Lynn. And she says, "Hey Ray, do you like the new Hampshire mountains like moi? I smell maple syrup." You guys trolling each other? Phil Jones already said hi. Dave's presentations are great, and he covers much more in his app. Yeah, see, that's the thing is I did download the app. I pressed those buttons, but I was confused. But that explanation help me find all these things. So I'm going to be up all night. Yay. People in the southern hemisphere see the same constellations in reverse of what people in the northern. That's from Ray. I don't know. I can't fact check this stuff. I don't know what's real anymore. Joanne Kiefer, you said, yeah, David is brainwashed that it's actually real, or he's lying to himself. The only place it could go with the information was the gravity disk because it has similar resonance with it. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I don't know. I'm not going to argue. I do understand that theory about density versus gravity, and gravity is a theory. We know that but everything's a theory. So theory. Got to be fucking real when everything's a theory. Who knows? But yeah. Okay, you guys are just giving her. Shimin does a good job of demolishing him. Okay, so you guys are just having a conversation. Dank.
Yeah. So
They
go
have
ahead.
phones. Who have phones? Flat Plain, Oregon. Oh, good for you. You named your channel after it. Flat is not a shape. No, that's true. Byron, they taught FE in public schools in America in the 1930s and some of the 40s, maybe even later. Well, I don't know if you can see it, but over here on this side, there's my Gleason's map. I'll pull a trick from Dave and do the old finger thing. There's my. That's harder than it looks.
Yeah, he was.
There's my Gleason's map, and then up here is a map of. How do I get there? You fucking did that so well.
He was on it.
There you go.
I wouldn't be able to do it either.
There's a map of Hyperborea. There's a map of the moon, and then this fucking. That is hard. This map over here, there we go, is a flat map, but it has the ice wall without ice on it. Mm-hmm. That was an interesting one. He didn't notice my Masonic square and compass back there, did he? Didn't even notice that.
No, it's not as easy to see. Like some people just catch on to it right away, but yeah, it's not as easy to see for some.
How do you know those numbers are the truth? Okay, hold on. Let's say hello to...
Yeah, so most of these are starred just simply because they're new to the channel and want to say hello.
AK Senwa. Oxbow Spirit, hello. Raised by Gypsies, hello. Show me bendy water. Where's the curvature? Where? Okay, so there's a lot of people here. Alien Girl, I saw that comment there. I did the hat tip when I saw that, so thanks. Gregory R. Taper, hello. More cartoon proof for the glow of cartoons. Yeah, see, like they do look like cartoons, but they could be pictures, but they're fucking cartoons. Like they and Disney is so subliminal with their dome stuff. Like they're either mocking it. But here's the thing: is those who do know, they kind of need to put little images out there to say, do a little hat tip to the people that know, to be like, you're one of us. Hidden messages in plain sight. Like I have the square and compass for Masons, so when they see that I'm a Mason, and that is something that some of you guys here that are new to the channel. I didn't want to really get into that, but I mean, as a Mason, I'm trying to figure out if there's suggestions of all this other stuff too, but like it's quite convincing inside a lodge that there is some symbolism of the at least the domed earth. So
and wasn't Walt Disney a Mason, or at least suspected of being a Mason?
Yeah, the 30 Club in Disney. There's Masonic connections to that, and people.
Yeah, it's hard because we have the. Like
Lisa!
We're technologically capable. Yes, hi Lisa. We're technologically capable of doing CGI and making things that are fake look hyper realistic, like to the point like it's become almost nearly impossible to determine in some instances what is CGI. And I found that difficult when I was, first coming across my UFO sightings and starting to try and look for research on that subject and trying to discern what was real and what was fake and what, and there's some footage out there that's quite compelling, but then you later find out it's all been hoaxed. So it's really hard when you're somebody who's trying to look for the truth and learn through the answers through what's available to you, and then as you navigate the rabbit hole, more and more lies seem to come about.
Oxbow Spirit says acknowledgement of gas pressure is acknowledgement of a contained system. So this is the challenge. It's circumstantial evidence, but doesn't necessarily make it corroborative. So like just because that's the rules and conditions in this specific device doesn't mean that that's the device that we're in, although it's similar. So for gas to be in an aerosol can, right? Because that's the compression, that's the container. If that's the way it works there, then therefore it must work the same here. But
but that's compressed gas, so that's a little bit different. Like I don't.
What I'm trying to say with the container part, right? Just because this is, therefore that is. There's a lot of associated thoughts that go with it. That doesn't mean it's true. It's just something to compare to. But even when we do that with everything, we do that with every scientific study that we're trying to figure out and compare it to something else to try and figure out which theory fits with the analysis. So when you compare those things to what you see around you, more of these things fit than trying to do the same to defend the globe. That's the challenge that I'm having. It's not that I don't believe that the Earth is a globe. I'm having difficulty defending that. Right? Yeah. As an investigator who's supposed to be unbiased, this is I am so nowhere close to the center on this, and that frustrates me. I can't go back to the other side and defend the other side. Does that make me believe this? No. It just, there is something on this side that doesn't make sense. And I'm just,
Yeah, one day you'll have to, buddy up with Jeff Bezos or something and get a rocket to the sky.
Buddy meets Pam millions of dollars, and then
no, hell no, it doesn't.
I'll give you this $1 million back, and I'll double it if you keep your mouth shut. Sure.
Right? I don't know. Wasn't he just recently talking about like giving away some like his millions? Like, who knows, I think the billionaires are scared right now. I'm just saying.
But then you got deGrasse Tyson saying that we're not going up high enough to see the curvature. So that's another thing. You got other scientists that are saying other scientific facts to show that we're getting close, but not getting close enough to do that. And we as the civilians, we as the individuals that don't have access to do this have to take their word for it. But whose word do we take? And does that really matter? Because if we're stuck, we're stuck.
Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't matter. It's not going to change your life. To like what matters about it is like, and it doesn't matter because every situation, you dive down the UFO rabbit hole, you dive down the paranormal rabbit hole, you go down all these avenues of research into the subject of beyond the tinfoil hat, and you'll realize that there's government and people are lying, and there's no way to unsee it. So really then you have to become comfortable to a degree that with being lied to your entire life by
So follow me on this. So if there is land outside of the wall, because we know that we can't get past here, even if it is on a globe, all those things we can't do. We know that. That's fact.
Is that a flat earth mouse pad?
It sure is. Last year's Christmas present, courtesy of my wife, who thought I was crazy, who's now also believes in flat earth. But anyways, that was a dark day when she finally come to a realization of that. That was fun. But if there is another place, okay, so outside the wall, and it's outer space, and it's extraterrestrial, when we talk about the UFO phenomenon and the aliens and extraterrestrials, and they're perhaps communicating with us telepathically, they could exist here doing all those things.
Yeah, but this is the part. That's not the part that I struggle with, because for me, that's where multidimensionality comes into play. Like for me, all planes of existence overlap on top of each other. They're all accessible. So like it's just like a bunch of blankets stacked on top of each other. For all I give a shit, I don't care. Like it's for me, the outside terra, whatever you wanted to call it, outer space, in that example, that wouldn't be that crazy to me, because it's sort of a similar concept. If it's just a different way of conceptualizing it or articulating it, I just think it's the language, it's different. So I don't necessarily think that's why I think both potentials
I
exist. It
I
just
see
depends how you're coming from it, understanding it.
Dave's in the comments. He's going at it with Ray right now. So this is good. This is good. Hey man, you could hang out for a little bit, but I guess defend your honor here in the chat. If there's anybody else here that has any questions, or just wants to talk about it for the good of it, we're just, and for those of you who are new to this podcast, we deep dive in a lot of topics, trying to figure out why they are happening and how they're all connected. So for those, because we have a significant following right now, which is quite large, we don't normally have this many people on, and I'm assuming that's courtesy of Dave. So thank you. So I'll give you some context. Is all of these theories should have a truth, but in order to carry a lie, they have to use that truth, and some of these things have to be connected. They're either all connected or none of it exists. So the flat Earth part for me is very interesting because you guys are very in tune and pay attention to all these lies. As a ufologist, I learned more about the moon landing being fake from talking to flat earthers than I did from ufologists. Like there's a lot of thinking, because even depending on what we believe and all these other things, we're all focusing on this lie, on this NASA, on this organization, and here in Canada, it's Canadian Space Agency. Maybe I should make a CSA lies, but no, well, we're good with CSA right now. I don't want to ruin that. But, but like it has to, the real truth would be a combination of all of these. So we're stuck in a dome. We're in God's, like, as it was communicated in the Bible. I'm currently reading the book of Enoch, and right from the beginning that talked about flat earth and giants and all these other things. And that is a book that was like removed. You're not supposed to do this to a Bible, by the way, but study.
I don't know if there's whatever. Fuck the rules. And
Anyway.
honestly, like it would, to a degree, even as an experiencer, make sense that there's a flat Earth. That like many people seem to have this like understanding or realization that we are as a species kind of like put here, sort of being tested, experimented on, whatever you want to call it.
No.
Wouldn't it make sense to have us in an enclosed space that can be controlled, a scientific environment, if you will, maybe a vacuum in space, whatever we'll call it? It would make a lot of sense from that perspective in a lot of ways.
The only reason why I want to know if this is true, because when I'm doing other measurements to figure out where this stuff is going, I need to be aware of other land. So when he mentioned, extra ship routes and things like that, going through Antarctica and traveling to all these other places, there would have to be some trade routes that people are aware of to get there. So why can't we find this technology? Because we're looking in the wrong place. Why can't we find Atlantis? Because it's on the outside of the wall. All these stories get carried on and get passed on, but where did they come from? They came from outer space, which could literally be still here in this plane and in existence. We assume it's coming from out there, and we also assume we can get out there. But it's still an assumption, and it's been communicated to us. And we've been indoctrinated, and we've been the system. It makes sense that the system, that this particular part could be part of an experiment. The other challenge that I'm having is the other things that could make sense. Do they make sense? Like I'm questioning everything.
I know. So I'm maybe just like I have a different approach.
It's like, what is real? Like, I mean, am I supposed to eat an apple a day, to keep the doctors away and all that other stuff that you learn in school? Like it's like
my rule is if it feels good, do it, even if you shouldn't. That song's brilliant. Just listen to it over and over again. If it feels good, it's probably good. If it doesn't feel good and society says it's good, it probably ain't good. So just start listening to your body and your heart. There's a different language happening right now. Everyone's all in their brain, all analytical, asking why. None of that shit matters. Why? It actually really doesn't. What
So
really does matter is how you spend your life, and if there
exactly.
is a higher power, whatever the hell's going on,
So don't
assume you're being observed.
yeah, don't go to school and become an astronaut unless you want to be part of the lie or you want to find out from the truth. Fuck, I don't know, man. Hard. I wanted to be an
I don't
astronaut.
know.
I think every boy wanted to be an astronaut with the space thing. I think that was like brainwashing, of course. I don't know.
It's the indoctrination's deep, right? Like for instance, like I if we look at myself, I went to school, I went to environmental sciences. I had this whole idea I'd save the world and like help global warming and keep the trees safe and all that crap. I was a tree hugger, let's just say it. And I started working for the government thinking that was, me stepping up as a public servant, doing my role to help people
Mhm.
and to keep corporations in check, if you will, and to work through making sure that they're not destroying the environment. That to me ended up not being the case. It wasn't 100% true that's how it went down. There was a lot more things that I learned to realize, and the higher I went up, the more I uncovered. So it got to a point where ignorance was no longer bliss and I couldn't ignore it anymore, similar to how you're feeling with this flat earth thing. And I had to make a change in my life in order to be the change that I wanted to see in the world. And I had a lot of bubbles burst about, my understanding of a lot of things and everything that I even went to school for. And learning environmental sciences, I almost had to reteach myself to a degree. I'm not saying that like everything I learned is garbage and I wasted my money in having a degree, but
No, but
that happened to me.
it's like if you do, everyone knows how to do math, simple math, or most people should know how. I shouldn't say everybody, but the if you don't have the right equation, everybody can do math correctly, but not everyone will do it accurate. There's only one accurate formula for whatever it is that you're measuring. So you need to if the globe map is in the right is correct according to what they tell us, but it's not accurate. When we do these calculations with the globe map, it is not accurate, but the math will add up based on the formula that's provided. It makes more sense to do it on the flat earth because logic tells us that we should go in a straight line to travel and not over the place. But in reality, maybe they do go all over the place for some weird reason that we can't, foreign airspace and things like that and all these other stuff. So both scenarios, the math can be done right if you're using the right map. But which map is the correct map? Which calendar is the correct calendar? We have a change of calendars.
Don't even bring the calendar into this. That's like completely made up shit.
Well, that's
But
what I'm
like
saying is
humans
when
have
we
completely
measure,
fabricated it.
we're using so many different, we're not using the right things.
Right. I
So
see.
you have to establish what it is that you're measuring, and then use the right working tools, the right tools to calculate your equations and to figure this out. And one thing we didn't really get into is now that we have this information, what do we do with it besides the whole, wake people up and become aware? Well, now that we're all woken up and aware, what do? Do we fight back? Do we break the dome? What do we do? Tower of Babel was an example of them allegedly trying to reach the dome. Maybe they touched the dome and then all of a sudden they destroyed the tower because they didn't think we had it in us, and then we did it. There's
Yeah. It seems my name is Ray and Dave are having a little bit of a back and forth.
yeah, I want to share some of those.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that I'm quite impressed that you guys are not arguing as Neanderthals. You are both having an intelligent back and forth conversation.
Yeah.
And all right, let's do it.
As long as it remains respectful, it's allowed. Like there was one person tonight who just kind of I gave them a timeout, and I think that was enough for them to like leave the chat entirely. But just be respectful with one another and maintain open mind space. This isn't here to bash anybody for exploring ideas, and as long as that's happening, it's okay.
Let's see if in the mix of all this, if there was any questions.
I haven't seen any. Yeah, so we can do a little bit of Tessa news maybe and wrap the evening up. But yeah, as
Yeah.
always, these flat Earth discussions always kind of leave me probably for weeks on end thinking through a bunch of things. And there's always something like, I forget what it was in this episode, but I was like, yeah, I hadn't thought of that. So there's always one of those at least. And slowly but surely, I'm probably hitting that point of no return. But I'm certainly just like, I have to maintain like a fluid worldview at this point in my experience, because otherwise I'll be in a like spiritual psychosis or something. Like, you got to be really careful with, how much you're allowing yourself to integrate some information, and moving how that changes and shifts your beliefs in like a lot of aspects of your life. It's not just the one, the world is round or flat. It's far, far deeper than that.
Yeah. And I guess all we have to do is, once we're aware of it, I mean, we just got to take care of each other because we're stuck here.
That's it.
And,
That's it.
you
And
know,
who knows? And we don't actually know. Like, I love, love, love that Dave often mentioned that like the main goal is to maintain us in a lower, like, to more or less not let us allow us to see our divinity and our sovereignty. Like, if we were able to just say, come together as a uniting force, as a collective, as a one human race, the power that we could have is probably like insurmountable. We probably have zero idea. And maybe there's some kind of shift that we're being guided to, that we're unaware of, that will open up a whole new world for us. Like, it might just be that simple as us coming together as a united species, and then all of a sudden we're welcomed into some, like I said, a whole new world.
well, yeah, no, I agree. My mind goes to the criminology perspective. Like, we always try to figure out, once we, serial killers, if there's a phenomenon there where everybody gets obsessed to learn why that mind went and did all these things, and they do all these studies to figure out why those bad things have happened. And then once, and sometimes down those roads, when you get into understanding the mind, you get these cults, you get these groups that's kind of understand or maybe support the reasoning behind why these bad things have happened. So in terms of this being a lie, the why is interesting to me, because maybe they're protecting us. What if we are protecting us from outside influences? Maybe they are have decided that it's better to tell us that there is another place, that we have hope. This whole space thing is to provide hope. So we keep this idea and this illusion up so we don't do bad things. So this lie might be purposeful because they know the truth. They've discovered it with Operation High Jump and Fishbowl and all these other things back in the day. But instead of telling us this doom and gloom story that, hey, we're stuck here, this idea and this image came up to keep us happy and sane. And if they want to do that, there's got to be a purpose for us. So we're working, we're doing all these other things to fuel what? To fund what? So,
You're making it worse for me. Stop.
but
You're
then,
making
so,
it
so,
so
so
much worse.
now that if we understand the outer space, if there's more land and there's shipping routes going out there, then we're slaves to something outside of that, because that's the end game. When the pandemic happened, we realized what jobs were important, what jobs were not, because we still needed to keep everything going. We're getting big, we're getting popular, so there's a need for us if we're an experiment. And, the idea of there being controllers, their idea of being a secret society, the idea of there being a galactic federation, all that stuff would exist if the Earth was flat, because
It would exist either way. That part doesn't matter. What you really messed me up with was your weird concept that you were trying to make it sound better, that they were like, oh, giving us this hope star of leaving Earth. You know what? That actually is not hope for me. That makes me depressed as fuck, because That's just saying, why would we waste our time fixing the mess we created here on this gorgeous planet that's probably literally like a dime in the freaking whole universe? And we're gonna try and make a go of it on Mars and live like this shitty apocalyptic life. I'm not leaving this planet. I don't even give a shit if it blows up. I'm staying here for sure, and I'm not gonna be one of those people that just throws my hands up in the air and goes, "The billionaires will take care of me for sure.
The way I see
They're
that,
not gonna make me a slave on Mars." Like, what kind of like all we've ever done in history, all as a humanity, as like we're colonized, and then we get people, the workers, to colonize for us, to put forward this mission, and then we all live this happy life for a brief period of time as we're building community, because that's actually kind of fun, and then it all goes to shit every freaking time. Now we're doing it on a planetary scale. That doesn't bring me hope.
sorry, not sorry. Doom and gloom.
Hmm.
Raised by Gypsy says it's all about keeping us apart from each other. So, I mean, if I come back to the Tower of Babel scenario,
Hmm.
if there is some research with there being a continent in the North Pole, so Hyperborea being perhaps that continent that has 4 rivers, which could very well describe the Garden of Eden, and then in the center of that would be this giant, tall, magnetic mountain of some sort. But what if that was the Tower of Babel, and that's where Babel happened, not in Babylonian or Babylon, where we're told, or close to it. I would actually don't know where Babylon would be on the flat map. That'd be interesting to find out. But the Tower of Babel was created in the center, and then we were in the center. And to come to Raised by Gypsy's point about keeping us apart from each other, because even the story in the biblical terms is that we came together, we did this great thing, and then God separated us, and then gave us different languages and gave it different, so we couldn't communicate to each other, so we couldn't talk to each other, separated and divided.
Hmm.
So, or whether the Earth's being flat or not, that is
Hmm.
still another associated event that has occurred. And if that occurred in the center of the Earth, and then they divided us on this, what they already knew is this outside world, it makes sense because none of us can actually see the same thing at the same time. So if the moon does circulate and the sun around the planet, if we were in the north, we would see that all the time. If we were in the south, we would see that all the time. But being separated, we can't see it, and not one person can follow it enough to be able
Hmm.
to confirm it.
Right. So you're not willing to let go of this discussion. So let's keep going. How is it then that, in
It's
the
the
northern
semi-final finale.
in the northern southern hemispheres, they, go for long extended periods
Well, it's
without
a
sun and with sun,
well, okay.
or you know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying that's a reality, that's a proven phenomena. We know that exists. We can experience that here
Right,
on
but
Earth.
that's you didn't.
That's proof of some sort of fuckery. I don't know what, but it's not necessarily
I
like
don't know how to show this. Maybe I can
it's
use.
not. It wouldn't indicate then that there's like a circle going around and around and around a
It
sunny
go,
circle.
but see, I don't know how to explain this, but I know this. It doesn't go like around constantly. It goes around and then it spirals out. So during
Okay,
so when
so
it's in,
that's the seasons element. So like that's how we would describe seasons on a
do I
flat
not
Earth.
own a globe? I thought I had a fucking globe. Probably
I've
not.
never seen
Okay.
a globe in your office.
No, it's over. It's over. It's over yonder. It's a paperweight over there. But it okay. So on the globe, okay, we see the sun going around this way, and all these arcs and all these other different things is what we're told. Okay, when the sun's over here and the moon, the Earth rotates, all that other fancy stuff, which is why the seasons do that. That's what we're told. But on the flat Earth, when it spirals, it also starts to come out, but it never goes past, I think, the Tropic of Capricorn or Cancer, whatever the furthest one out is. So when it's out here, that's when Antarctica experiences its summer for 6 months or whatever. And then when it comes in closer, that's when it experiences its winter because the sun is closer to the north. And that's the same thing for us because the sun's also moving away from us as well as spinning around. So that's how that happens. Now, according to that, I'm not very good at explaining this.
No, that was all right. I'm just trying to think of like natural phenomena that we know exist that would like,
So
I don't know, it's just like what Mark Sargent, he called it the giant Truman Show, and it kind of like does give off that vibe because you're like, okay, then like literally is everything just, a containment for us? We're being contained in some manner.
but for a purpose. So
Yeah.
the positive to try to put a positive on this is there is a need for us to be in this container. There is a need to sell us this lie so we don't revolt, so we don't fight, so we don't do anything, and we coexist for whatever purpose they have. So is trying to determine whether so we know this, and to coexist and to live with this lie, what do we do? Is our goal to be nice to everybody and then so we can get to heaven, which may not actually exist? Or are we a fucking food source in some places, because like there's a lot of
Just
like
hit the all of the above button,
what
like
is the
on
purpose?
everything.
So even if the earth is flat, what is the purpose of keeping us in this lie? Because we're not enslaved to anything other than we have the freedom and choices. We have this belief to do all these, this idea that we're able to do all these things, and we run into all these trouble. And there could be divine intervention. Someone could come in and tell us exactly what they need us to do, but it's chaos. So are we unsupervised, or is it an experiment? Or are we just allowed to do whatever we want in this zoo until something comes and plucks an experiencer and abducts them, and tests on them? So there's so many signs that we are an experiment to something. We are and I'm in a fucking rabbit hole.
I don't know, like you're kind of making me want to reveal some experiences to you, but also like it's not you're thinking too analytical again. Like you got to kind of step out of that a little bit and go, like you can't because it's all like kind of like when you were talking with Vivian, it's a lot of that, together. It's not like this and this. You can't cherry pick like you're trying to do.
Well, if it's
And it's really hard to like, because it's not like a language. You can't just speak it. English doesn't capture the true nature of reality. I'm sorry, it doesn't. And that's why like there's just mathematical languages like Hebrew and Middle Eastern languages. Those actually make sense in a lot of ways. Like English isn't the worst language to try and explain.
But I mean,
But
why have different languages? Why not have a universal language? Or maybe we do, because like this stuff would have to make sense to someone, and then we're left to figure it out. Then we make our own languages and we figure it out, and then now we're communicating. English allegedly is well, I guess it is the universal language for business, is English. But like is this out of happenstance, or is it deliberate? Like, are we all these achievements that we make as human beings, is this because we just fluked it because we're playing around with each other and then just decide to make these rules and then we're playing with these rules and doing all these things and trying to win, but what are we winning based on these ideas? And that's why it feels like an experiment, right?
well,
Or
it is an experiment. Imagine like look, okay, just for fun, you have an ant farm and you want to see how red ants and black ants interact with one another. You
we're
just
the
throw
ants,
them in there together
right?
and watch. Like
So,
that's basically what you do,
so
right?
who's the farmer?
So who's the farmer? Who knows? God? Like it could be all of us because like if we are a universal consciousness, universal, not just earth,
Yeah, but uni means
everything.
one.
So we're all connected. It's just like it's for me, from, from you, for me, from me, for you, cyclical type of shit. And it's like really complex. It's not something you're going to grasp. You're going to experience it before you can articulate it.
Let's throw like time travel in the mix of this. Right? Because that has to exist too.
You haven't, have you gotten over the non-linear aspect of time yet?
Well, there's a concept that I've been working theory that I've been kind of going on too with this map, of course. We have this idea of this being higher consciousness, or by this map, for those who don't know what I'm talking about a different map from an experience I had. But if it came from the future, as or my higher self or future self, which came first, the future or the past? Right? So
it's all at the same time.
So
There is
something
no
from the future affects the past.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So am I living in the present? Am I living in the past?
You're living in all of it at the same time. All of it at the same time. So, like, the truth factor is, like, I went on a podcast with Fire Lotus the Witch, and I was talking about this. Many people think channelers, you're channeling dead people, you're channeling intergalactic beings. I can channel my higher self, I can channel my inner child, I can channel my inner teenager, and I can definitely channel my future self. And I can channel people who are still alive in all versions of themselves, for sure. So, for instance, like, I did some work, it was ancestral work. So I know when it works because I start to see the ripple effects of it and my ancestors lose their shit. So, one thing I did do, I ended up getting a rounding ovation, stand up applause in my head, and my father came through because I had unleashed a big thing that helped him. And that's when it approved it for me. So it's all happening at the same time, and it absolutely does influence what you do now, has ripple effects across space time and across the universe. And how I kind of understand it is Earth, why we are so narcissistic is actually because we are in the center. We are in the center of everything. And what we do has massive effects up and down. What they do up takes a lot longer for the effects to reach us down. Same with the other way around. But what we do here has huge effects. Huge effects. And yes, we are left to go running around wild to a degree. That's what free will is. But that's what the balancing of the ego and the, conscious.
This would be like a calculated risk or a casualty count, because like
We're all one. We're all connected. So
right, but not all of us are following the true path.
Exactly.
So there's enough room for error with us to do all these stupid things that they don't care about, because there's enough people doing whatever the true path is, and everything else is just fodder. Everything else is just
and I genuinely believe, like, there's certain people that have to follow the rules more than others, because especially once you become conscious, like, you can't look back. You have to follow the rules. Now you're like on the plan. And if you don't start following the plan, you'll see signs that you're not. And it'll be more impactful if you don't follow. Like, if you had a mission here and you like unlocked your mission and you then decide to not do your mission, you're gonna probably be offed at the point in life, like the stage of humanity we're in right now is really serious.
That's what they say, be a zero, right? Because we are numbers, and then as soon as the attention is brought, you're on their radar, and then it's just how far are people going to push it? When they built the Tower of Babel, then they destroyed it, but they didn't do anything because they didn't think we were capable of doing it. And then once, we get enough of us that are smart enough to want to do a one-up and try to get disclosure or something on anything, as soon as they learn or become aware of the move, if they don't want that, then yeah, we're gone. So it makes it even, there's that fear too to want to be able to push for these things, because
Yeah, just don't follow fear. Anything that makes you scared is probably wrong. Like, that's just the reality of it.
well,
Once you feel like the oneness of it all, it's like a weird, it's hard to describe. It feels like a stern love, like an infinite love, an all mother, if you will. Like, you will understand how you are one of everything, but like you also will see that like it's a very stern kind of like do what I say, and you feel it like through your entire fiber of your being. You'll know, like, there's no question. Like, once it happens, you will know, and there's no questioning it. Like, it's a knowing forever.
Boom. All right. Let's get them instant replay here from what do we got here? Fucking Ray and Dave going at it here. We should just, you guys want
Dave's
the
still in.
you guys
Yeah.
want the StreamYard link and come back in and battle it out? Let me see. Jesus. You guys are going.
Flat earthers claim water is flat and level. I've
If
never
that's
heard
the
that
case,
claim.
you wouldn't have objects hidden behind the horizon. He already did explain that earlier.
Yeah.
So
maybe
flat
get
earth-
the app. Maybe get the app, take some look around, and pay $3 for 1 month or whatever it was. And then if you absolutely hate it after, I would love to hear more about, what you have to say.
you talking to me or are you talking to him?
Him.
Yeah, I'm already in this.
No, but honestly, like, it's hard. Like, I know because I was there and Ryan witnessed it. When he first started talking about flat earth theory with me, I was like, please no. I
Yeah, I
think we've
quit all
lost
in.
Ryan Stacy.
Yeah, are you fucking kidding me?
He went over the deep end, like, I was like, oh my. And I was listening. The good thing about me, I think, is I'm very open-minded and I listen to things. So, like, even though I was highly triggered, like Ryan can attest to this, I still allowed myself to be open-minded enough to at least hear him out, because I respect Ryan enough to know that he's not just gonna like go off the deep end and not like have some sort of
Don't trust that.
something that brought him there, at least, and I wanted to hear it out.
I am off the deep end and I'm struggling to swim back to shore.
Well,
But I
yeah,
am trying to swim back to shore. I mean, it's just, I think for me is deep down inside there is belief. And the analytical brain, because it can't be proven, that's where the frustration comes in, because if I'm believing the lie of all lies, then I doubt everything. And I'm trying to, get past all this shadow demon trauma bullshit and start trusting things. And it's really, it's really hard. And that's why I'm always trying to find that positive spin to it. Like, okay, we're stuck. We can't do anything about it. There's evidence of great divine power. There's a bigger purpose. We're needed. Otherwise, they kill us all. There might have been too many of us, so they tried something to thin us out, but we're still needed. Am I one of those? So am I one of those people that they need? And for what purpose? Who knows? Then you get into interference. So then if my download experience was not my higher consciousness and not creative thought or a muse pulled from the alter spectrum, but in fact implanted by an external source, can that source be trusted? If that is remote viewing or some government program, then we don't trust the government. The government invaded my mind.
Yeah.
Now I have this map, and this map all of a sudden is a bad thing, and I don't trust it anymore. But why do that in the first place? Unless it's positive intervention. And with positive intervention, what do we do with it? That's why we have the Experiential Support Association. It came from this idea of this map, and it's so borderline culty freaking movement here. But when I believe that, I rather believe it be powerful and influent and divine
Yeah.
and positive
Yeah.
than negative. But what if it came from the negative source? So was that intended to be a lie, or did they actually tell the truth one time? Because they would have to know the truth, and they would have to, so like when you have a problem in a company and employees being bad, but you want to get rid of them and you can't, there's rules, there's things you got to do. So both sides, and you do all these other things to
You don't know both. You don't know shit. You don't know nothing, Jon Snow. Because if you did, you would understand that it's very unlikely that you received a message like that from as an interference message. It's very unlikely because
well, it
just
didn't
the
come
state
within.
you were in and how consciousness works. It's really hard to do like what you just described. Secondly, if it was from a demonic or whatever you want to call it, a lower vibrational, a lower density entity, and that doesn't necessarily mean it was bad. They have their place in the whole ecosystem of the spirit world too, and they can deliver valid and good messages that are life-changing and profound just as much as an angel or whatever you want to call it could. So get that idea out of your mind. And then, as a witch or somebody who grew up in witchcraft and is not even sure if I want to identify in that way anymore, one thing I could say is the craft brings about the fucking concept of venerating who you're talking to, who you're channeling to. And there's rules, and there genuinely is rules about the law of your sovereignty. Like, you can't, they can't per se lie to you. Like, there's skirting around the truth and being a little trickster, but you can't necessarily be lied to, especially not by like
Well,
demons can lie, but they're like, it's just a trickster manner. Like, they have to show themselves, and you can
they don't
exert
have
your free
to,
will.
but see, okay, laws and rules are interesting.
It's like universal. I don't know how to describe it. It's not like I have names for it. It's just truths that I've come to learn and that have never shown me as false. Like, it always works.
The reason we have laws and rules is because of all the possibilities that could happen. So they create these set of parameters so that we don't do the opposite of what it is that they're protecting. So in order to have a need for a rule or a law, the thing that they're preventing or countering to is a possibility or something that has happened. So they wouldn't do that unless it was possible. So with that thought, if we look at this rule where angels and demons are not allowed to interfere, that is a rule, but at the same time, it proves that they have the capability of interfering. So just like we have the capability of following the law and bending the law and breaking the law, and then there's consequences to that. We weigh that. What's the consequence to them interfering with us? And is that something they can live with? And if it is, then that's what they're doing. Right?
I don't necessarily think that there's being any rules are being broken with regard to like the ET phenomena. Even from an individual soul perspective or a collective perspective. Like, I think to a degree we've agreed to it and we all know that we don't remember. And that's probably what, if anything, the government would be protecting us from, would be our own trauma.
Well, trauma comes from fear of the unknown, missing information and reacting because we don't know. It's the unknowing. And once we're informed, the fear goes away. Once we understand, the fear goes away. Kiara, was a little question in the middle of this flat battle, we'll call it. Who is to say that some ET being is required to follow the rules? Pretty sure there are ones who say no way to the rules. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, just like humans do. There's humans that say F it,
and then for what purpose? So why interview? So that would mean like even if there are shadow governments or other extraterrestrials or whatever, whoever's in control to make us go this certain way, there's also enough of them saying no to that plan and trying to interject a new plan.
But who's to say that's bad? Who's to say that the government's plan is right? Who's to say the government's plan is better than multidimensional beings that can see all possible timelines?
It's the end game is what we need to know. To what purpose? Is this just an experiment? Are they watching us right now laughing and going like, oh, look at this. This is good. This is, like what makes us so important? And in order to become important or recognized in the world, you got to be an actor. You got to be famous. You got to be a musician. You got to be.
No, those are all limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Now, this conversation has left Flat Earth, and we haven't even mentioned who the season finale guest of Beyond the Tinfoil Hat is.
Yeah. Has it been confirmed? I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah, it has been.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our season finale guest is Richard Dolan.
Richard Dolan. We're
Richard
very
Dolan
pleased to have him
will
on
be
the
our
show.
guest next Thursday, December 1st, which will be our final episode of Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, Season 4. For those of you who may like or may not like Richard Dolan is directly responsible for pulling me out of this MUFON funnel that I was in for many years and gave me opportunity. And it's a pretty big deal to have him as our season finale because I get to finally interview the man who gave me opportunity and return the favor. And that also is a good thanks to CC for setting it up and all the stuff we've been doing for the Experiences Support Association. We, it is it may not be a big deal to some, but to me, it's a win because we're coming full circle on this flat Earth. But I mean, I'm nervous. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm anticipated about it. It's almost not real. And I mean, it's just going to be great. It's going to be 2 hours, at least 2 hours with him. And then the final after chat to talk about that. Then the following week is Experiencer Day. So Experiencer Day. So I will, for those of you, Richard, what did he say? Dave said here about Richard. Tell Richard that disclosure is not in outer space. It's right here on Earth. You know what? We are disclosure. I think experiencers are disclosure in terms of UFO and phenomenon and all that other stuff. We are the disclosure.
I agree. Stop relying on other people to kind of tell us our truth. We all need to discover it for ourselves. But I genuinely believe that each of us has a piece of the puzzle. And once we come together in unity, we'll really freaking know what's going on.
He also is a good follow-up, too, because he also believes we're being lied to by many different ways. And he also doesn't believe in a lot of the sidebar, fucking, what do you call it? The messiahs that we have in ufology, like all these, there's a lot of crap. There's a lot of stuff going on, protecting the secrets and doing all these other things. It's still a secret. It's still a lie. It's still something. And if NASA has UFOs, then maybe they're being stored in the outer space. So like it all is connected. It all makes sense. But in order to help the experiencers, we need to understand, or at least get as close to the truth as possible.
Absolutely.
As soon as I learn how to use this Gleason's map that I have to do calculations, I'll be using that instead of a globe.
Well, and then just to further test the news, so next Wednesday we have Experiencers Anonymous at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's November 30th, Wednesday, November 30th, Experiencers Anonymous. So that's coming up. And as Ryan mentioned, after next week's episode of Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, December 9th, so will be Experiencer Day, which is an all-day online event on this channel. So you can subscribe, find the links to that. You can go to our website, www.experiencersupport.org, to find more information on all those events. and find your free link for Experiencers Anonymous in the events as well.
Awesome. We did skip our commercial break,
Yes.
but I'm going to play that now as the outro video. Stick around, watch it. It's 5 minutes. It will advertise Experiencers Anonymous. It will advertise Experiencer Day to give you an idea of what we're talking about since you guys are here. And then I'm going to read through all these comments here between Dave and Ray here. And so for this next 5 minutes, join me in the chat. Cece, thank you for being a trooper. She did say like 1 minute before the show ended, she didn't want to do the after chat. And then I said we're doing the after chat, and I found out about it. And then we did it for an hour. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So we'll see you. Have a good weekend too. Good job.
You too.
Are you a blue dot? Those questioning where we live are not just here. They are everywhere. Of course, this info is hidden from you, but the app shows you that no matter where you go, you aren't alone. We are everywhere, and we are growing. Find your tribe today.